Okay, it's gonna take a couple minutes. You already know what I'm doing, so bear with me until we get the last stream going, and we should be up momentarily. So bear with me here if some of you folks are coming in. Hopefully, we got audio, so that's gonna be the biggest thing. For some reason, the audio on YouTube is always goofing around, so we'll give it a minute on YouTube to uh, make sure we got decent audio. So if you guys come in on YouTube, let me know immediately if the audio is working, because that's been a problem lately. So while that's happening, I will get the other streams going. So right now it's at 0, so it should folks should be filtering in soon. So give me a minute, uh, and we'll see what's going on here. And we're gonna be asking, can America unite? Can we do it under Trump? That's a good question. Can we do it under Trump? Let me know if you got audio for anybody that's starting to filter in. Let me know if you can hear the program, because that's what we're concerned with. I'll give it a minute. I don't know. YouTube is looks something okay. Yep, you can hear me there. I'm not most. I can't even pronounce your name. Moshalesh 2025. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that name without butchering it. Wow, that's an interesting spelling. Okay, all right. Well, if you got audio, I will go ahead and get the other streams going, and we'll make it happen momentarily. Good evening, everybody else that are gonna be filtering in. I'll go ahead and start up the other streams. We're going to be asking a few questions such as, can America unite under President Trump? And of course, President Trump refused to sign a fairly decent sounding bill today. President Trump played the role of being very stubborn today. Mocha milk. That's what that says. Mocha leche. Okay, I get it now. Mocha leche. All right. It took me a minute to figure out what that was. All right. Chocolate milk, huh? That was simple. All right. Sometimes you just need a little bit of clarity. Mocha leche. Fair enough. All right. I like that, by the way. I think I got everything going. So let's see if the other streams come up. It should be going momentarily. I don't know what's going on with him. YouTube seems like he's having some issues, but yep, looks like we're good to go. So what up, folks? Once again, indeed, it is your boy Tim. It is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Welcome to the program. We're going to be talking about the possibility, I guess, or what is the possibility of America uniting. We are probably more divided right now as a nation than at any point in any of our lifetimes. I mean, I'm assuming, because we had a civil war in this country, that America has obviously been more divided than it is now in that period in history. But right now, as we stand, I'm going to submit to you that this country is probably more divided right now than at any point in your lifetime. Maybe if you were around during the whole civil rights movement, and that's before my time. I'm Gen X, so maybe if you're a baby boomer, you might be able to counter it with the civil rights era. Pretty divided during the civil rights era, obviously, as well. But right now, at least in my lifetime, you guys let me know. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Maybe you have a difference of opinion. But in my opinion, I can't think of any time in American history that's been more divided than it is right now. So you guys let me know. In the comments, I'm not going to, just a bunch of acronyms here. Could I ask, if you speak about the administration, why do you have all the Trump stuff behind you? We get that question all the time. We have, Trump is the current president of the country. When Kamala Harris and Biden, we always hold up the Kamala Harris picture. And I mean, when Trump was not president, we had up Biden and Harris. So the Trump picture with JD Vance is up because that is who our current commander in chief is. We do also don the MAGA hat because of the name of the program, we do want to make it clear to everyone watching that we are MAGA friendly. We do believe in free speech. You don't have to agree or disagree with anything that the host or anyone else says on the program. And the purpose of having a MAGA hat is simply put, with a program like this, MAGA is going to see the name and they're going to say that, this shit is biased. They're going to tune out. So we want MAGA to know that regardless of what the politics of the show, the host, or any of the guests are, when you come on, you'll be given free speech without any censorship or time limits like anybody else. We treat MAGA just like we treat any other guest. If we got a difference of opinion, yeah, we'll push back. We do that with liberals as well. But we do believe in free speech, absolute. So that's why you see the MAGA hat and things like that. So getting back to the actual meat and potatoes of the program, we're asking the question, how can this great nation unite? And as you heard me state, I don't think that there's ever been a more divisive time in our history than we are dealing with right now. So I want to take suggestions from you. We'll throw around a few of our own, and we'll ask that simple question of what can we do to unite. But obviously, this is not the only topic of the show. There is news that broke today that is absolutely worthy of discussing. And once again, we want to hear from you. Now, this broke earlier, and I think this is important considering we're talking about unity. We don't get much bipartisan legislation. That doesn't happen much. I mean, nowadays you got to have full cooperation from your side of the aisle because the other side doesn't work with you at all. But today, something different happened.
Sign the housing affordability bill until Congress passes his voter ID law. The House and Senate passed that housing bill in rare, overwhelmingly bipartisan votes. It aims to address the nation's housing shortage by increasing the supply of homes and providing grants to turn vacant buildings into affordable housing. President Trump was scheduled to sign the bill at noon today, but now he says that's canceled. White House correspondent Karen Travers is here for more on that. Hi, Karen, what's the latest?
Diane, the president was set to sign the bill just after noon today, and 2 hours before he was going to do it, he announced on social media that he will not sign the bill. He will not have that event on Capitol Hill. This, he says, is because he wants to see lawmakers pass the Save America Act.
Now, the Save America Act should sound familiar. We covered. We had a whole live show on it yesterday. But let's talk about this 21st Century Road to Housing Act that President Trump now refuses to sign. You see on the screen there, today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed America Act, which I consider to be a national emergency. Wow. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. Now, Trump is suggesting that we need the Save America Act so bad that it's a national emergency. Wow. Look, if it's a national emergency, sign into legislation the damn Save America Act. Give him the Save America Act if it's a national emergency. However, have him show evidence to why he is suggesting that. If he cannot produce evidence that is evidence to support why it's a national emergency, then I don't agree with signing it. But if he's got a significant amount of evidence, then sign the damn act in the law. But we're going to talk about the bill they did not sign, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. This is the bill he didn't sign. What's in that bill? They were trying to make housing, because nowadays housing is not affordable to the average American growing up. They're suggesting now people cannot afford to purchase their first home until they're damn near 40 years of age. Used to be, you were doing this stuff in your 20s. So they're trying to make housing more affordable to Americans. In this bill, they were going to tie dollars to creating new homes. So they were going to be using federal dollars to create new homes. They were going to be turning vacant buildings into housing. There's a lot of vacant buildings around the country, particularly in urban areas and big cities. And they wanted to put, this is one I'm assuming the liberals really would like. New limits on investors buying homes. The Airbnb craze has really hurt the price of housing for new buyers, because an investor can go out and buy multiple homes to put on Airbnb and pay top retail for something that a new home buyer is going to need to take out a loan, and new home buyers can barely afford the home they're getting, whereas an investor can pay in cash and buy a bunch of homes at a time. So investors were making it hard, are making it hard for new home buyers to purchase homes. This housing bill was going to tackle all of that. But you hear Trump is saying he's not going to do it now because he needs to Save America Act pass, which he considers a national emergency. Deadpool, I don't see they don't move around where you flip the screen, so I can't do it right now. I apologize to you, but I can't. It doesn't show me how to do it. And we're going to talk about this real quick, but before we do, Handsome Conservative says some call him the GOAT, some call him an icon. I do get the icon part. Some call him a legend. I say he's the only man as humble as I am. Put your hands together for the handsome liberal. I'm going to have to start reading some of these open up the show. That is excellent. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your input. And certainly thank you for that rounding way of introducing the show. Handsome Conservative, I appreciate that. So how can we unite the country under President Trump is what we're talking about. So he's not going to sign the Housing Act until he gets the Save America Act, which you hear him say is he considers it to be a national emergency. That's strong language. That's really strong language. But we'll continue before we get into explaining that. Also, in addition to that, our second topic is Mom Donnie of New York. Mom Donnie is in the news. And look, he's already won his mayoral race out in New York, but he's in the news making headway.
Sweep in New York City. That's right, Carly and Todd. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani says the results of Tuesday's primaries were the beginning of a political movement. One of the far-left candidates he backed beat a five-term incumbent in New York's 13th Congressional District. Congressman Adriano Espaillat, the chair of the Hispanic Congressional Caucus, lost his seat to Democratic Socialist Darjalisa Avila Chevalier. In New York's 10th Congressional District, Mamdani-backed progressive leader Brad Lander ousted Congressman Dan Goldman, who was the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment trial. And in New York's 7th Congressional District, another Democratic Socialist member, Claire Valdez, won the Democratic nomination. Chevalier
Donnie gets a sweep, very similar to what you often hear President Trump bragging about, that all his candidates tend to win. We're talking about potentially the rise of socialist candidates. I want to hear from you folks. What do you think that means for America? Keep in mind, there's a difference between a Democrat, a traditional Democrat, and a socialist. I would also submit to you there's also a difference between a traditional Republican and MAGA. And I mentioned this many times on the show that President Trump has a lot in common with Bernie Sanders. One is considered far left Bernie Sanders. Trump is significantly more to the right than, say, John McCain, Mitt Romney, or even President Bush. Trump is to the right of them in many areas. The reason why I'm suggesting that Bernie Sanders and President Trump have a lot in common is because both of these individuals ran to be the leader of a party that they don't really represent. Bernie Sanders is a socialist, not a Democrat. That's why he has a hell of a lot of flack often, or he had when he ran for president, a lot of flack from the leaders of the Democrat Party, the Obamas, the Clintons, the Nancy Pelosi types. I mean, they were not a big fan of Bernie Sanders because he's not what the party traditionally represents. I'm comparing him to Trump because the same applies to President Trump. When he first ran for office, he had a lot of flack from the leaders of the Republican Party, the Bushes, the McCains, the Romneys, even the Reagan families. They didn't like him either because they both know, the left and right knows, that if these candidates win, they're going to change what the party stands for fundamentally. As I mentioned, oftentimes the Democrats prevented Bernie Sanders from rising to the top, so the Democrat Party remained intact. The right did not prevent Trump from winning, and the party has now been permanently altered from what it used to stand for. Small government, things like that, or, family values, all of that type of stuff. Look, you got religion. I mean, you probably normally would not have expected the leader of the Republican Party to not be very religious, multiple wives, multiple divorces, multiple affairs, not necessarily a family values kind of guy. I mean, he's not what the Republican Party traditionally stood for, and neither is Bernie Sanders. But Mamdani is coming along, and Bernie Sanders-like candidates that are much younger are starting to look more appealing to America. So we're going to have the discussion about how you feel about the rise of socialism in this country. Now, I'm not saying a socialist has any chance of winning in Alabama or Texas somewhere, but if enough of them win in liberal states, they can still fundamentally change how the country is governed. If they start becoming congressmen and women all over the place, a few become senators or governors or whatever the case may be, they could have an effect, a profound effect on how our nation is governed. So we're going to talk about the rise potentially of socialism in America, and why do you think that is? So getting into the program, Uniting America, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 10,000, if you will. We'll take the first caller at 10K, and of course help you borrow the hat and mustache TikTok cap go. So looking in the comments, what do we say on every show? We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We are MAGA friendly, always have been MAGA friendly, always will remain that way. Liberals are welcome as well. Our comments go left of Mamdani to I'm having dinner with Q. You can be critical of anyone on the program, including yours truly. Socialism gets rid of the billionaires. I don't believe that, Chris. I don't believe that. I think it may make it more challenging to become a billionaire, but I don't think, keep in mind, Elon Musk is a trillionaire. That means he has 1,000 billions. Imagine putting $1 billion in a room, which would probably take up the entire square footage of a large room. Imagine if you could fit it in a room, probably need a garage or something even bigger to fit $1 billion in cash in it. Now imagine that room being multiplied times 1,000. That's how much money Elon has. So socialism would not stop Elon or Jeff Bezos or any of these multi-billionaires from becoming a billionaire. I don't even know if socialism would stop Trump from becoming a billionaire. It might, listen, maybe their wealth gets cut down 30, 40%, but still they could become a billionaire. In the comments, if they would have kept him out of government, he wouldn't be. Says none of your, what do you mean if they had kept him out of government? Oh, you said if they had kept Elon Musk out of, yeah, I agree with that. If he had not teamed up with President Trump, I don't think he's a trillionaire either. I agree with that. Socialism from having kids, says Julie. How makes sense? Tap the screen, get us up to 10,000. We'll take the first caller. How does socialism stop you from having kids? You're going to tell me the capitalists pull yourself up by your bootstraps is more favorable to you having children when they do absolutely nothing to help you? Make that make sense. I don't quite understand how socialism would stop you from having kids and capitalism would make it easier. I don't understand that one. And thank you for the fan club participation, Gangsta Grandma. Government contracts kept him in business and made him flourish. Remember, he was losing money. Certainly with his SpaceX or space program, the government is making him a fortune in that, and then Trump probably has helped out Tesla as well. Yeah, I mean, look, he would have still been a multi-billionaire, but probably nowhere near a trillionaire. I do agree with that. He's just trying to make it hard for women and poor people to vote. You're talking about the Save America Act? A lot of folks, I don't hear conservative women saying that. I don't hear conservative women saying it's getting harder for poor people. I mean, better yet, I don't hear conservative women saying it's harder for women to vote. But I'll give you another. Here's a funny one coming from Right Leg. 2 words. You suck. Well, Right Leg, your comment sucks if it doesn't come with any kind of explanation. You might be on to something. Let me know. I'll read it out. We don't blackmail or censor. You might be on to something. Learn how to deliver an insult, sir. But right now, your insult sucks, for lack of a better term. Because they would vote for H. What do you mean by that? None of your business. Get us up to 10,000. We'll take the first caller. Tap the screen. There will come a point in time where the money will stop flowing from the elite. The rich will have to battle themselves to be the greediest of them all. I don't quite get what you're saying. I'm trying to put that in context. I don't quite understand that. Would you believe me if I said I'm going to switch to become a socialist, maybe even vote for Kamala? Handsome conservative? No, I would not believe you. You were just on here talking the other day about Democrats are fucking up so bad it's pushing you closer to MAGA. So no, I would not believe you. Conservative women will vote for Trump, says none of your business. I tend to agree with that. Because a lot of conservative women follow the desires of their husband politically. And look, if you're a conservative man, you're certainly going to probably vote, especially, listen, there's certain groups of people that Trump is more favorable to. So probably so. I kind of agree with that. Are we getting that 10,000? Tap the screen. So tell me, what is socialism in your own words? Bet $1,000 you don't know. And you would win that bet. You would win that bet because in America, we have convinced ourselves that anybody looking to ask government to help out the poor is a socialist. Socialism involves all sorts of controls on your daily way of life. And there's never been a candidate in the United States that's tried to accentuate all of those mechanisms. I truly believe in America, we do not know what socialism is. Because Obama trying to make sure everybody has health care, that's not fucking socialism. Otherwise, every country in the free world must be a socialist country because they all do it. Mexico and even in the developing world. Is America the only capitalist nation on earth? Because just about all of Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, many of the countries south of the border that are significantly poorer than America, all of those countries have different various forms of universal health care or socialist style health care, whatever you guys want to call it. So if giving folks health care is socialism, that means the whole fucking world is that way. So yeah, I would lose that $1,000 based on what we've been told here in America. Going to the box, we'll start the program off with Mike, the boss. Good evening, Mike. Welcome to the program. We're talking about uniting America, Mike. What say you? Is that possible?
No.
Not at all?
Not with this regime, no.
Wait a minute. You're telling me the Trump administration, or as you call it, a regime, you sound like Rush Limbaugh saying that. You're telling me there's nothing we can do to unite this country under Trump?
Nope.
Why would you say something like that? Why would you say that?
Because they don't want it. Because they don't want it to happen. They're doing everything to work to ensure that it doesn't happen, Tim. They're doing everything. They're literally doing everything. When you ask me this, the minute you show me that he delivers a united message, then I will at least concede that one message. But he doesn't. He doesn't do anything to unify this country. Starts at the top.
Well, if he's talking about making us a stronger, more well-respected nation worldwide, or he's trying to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, isn't that something we can all unite behind?
How?
What do you mean how?
How? How can you? What can you unite behind? First of all, that's what he said. That's not what he's done.
Well, it's not. It's not over with yet, though.
Yeah, but your words have to match your actions, right? First of all, he said he's trying to liberate the people, then he don't give a fuck about the people. And then he wants to turn them into glass, and then he doesn't want to turn them into glass. And then they shouldn't have ballistic missiles, and then, well, why shouldn't they have ballistic missiles? And so there's nothing about this man that is unified. Nothing. I told you that. There's nothing redeemable about him, any of the leadership, any of those people. These people are unredeemable.
But you don't went from Trump to these people. Who are these people?
Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, Russell Vaught, Stephen Miller, Stephen Bannon. You want me to keep going?
His administration, in other words. His regime.
Yes.
The regime you talked about.
Yes. They're not redeemable people.
Mm.
I don't know what you want me to say, man. I don't know. Listen, he hasn't shown us any sign of trying to unite. Tell me the thing that he's done to try to unite. You already used Iran. I just blew that, no pun intended, out of the water. What has he done? He's alienated the LGBTQ community. He's alienated Hispanics. He alienated Black people, and he's alienated women. What else has he done to bring alienated? What has he done to bring anyone together?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm asking the question, but I got to admit it is a hard one to answer because he does enjoy the ridicule and the division so much. It's one you really, I guess I'd have to have some of my beloved MAGA on the show because it is a difficult one to discuss. It really is. He is very divisive.
I mean, how can you point to somebody? That's like saying, hey, don't you think Tim could be a great plumber, or Tim's a great plumber? Is Tim a plumber? No. What the fuck are you asking me? Is Tim a good plumber for? He's not a plumber. Has he shown you that he can fix anything? Yeah. Has he talked about fixing anything? So why in the world would I give you why would I give you the nod that that's something you can do when you've never shown me you can do it?
But how about the notion that, because you hear the right say that the division started with Obama. You know, he had Trump, it's divisive under Trump, but it really started with Obama. How do you respond to that? Because a lot of folks say that, you know, the way he would take sides with BLM and some of that stuff, that he is where the division started.
Yeah, I would say that those people are the racist people that I'm talking about, and that started with Trump as well. Trump was working to make Obama illegitimate even before he got in office. And the fact that they could say that he was a divider in chief because he could say, you know, Trayvon Martin could have been my son, because that's what a lot of them say. But they fail to realize he really shed a tear under Sandy Hook, right? When he got on TV and he broke down when those children were unalived at Sandy Hook. But see, they forget that shit, right?
I never understood that. How is it that a black man saying a black kid could be his son, you know, look, because that's how we look at people. That's the whole Martin McConaughey, close your eyes, now imagine that she's white. I mean, that's what he was doing. Now imagine that this person is somebody that you can relate to. That's what he was kind of indicating. I can relate to Trayvon Martin. Somebody, this guy looks like somebody that could actually have came from me. I don't see how that was so divisive.
It wasn't. The reality was it was unifying, and they don't want him to be the unifier. You got to remember, man, for a lot of these people in this country, Obama was their absolute worst. The Obamas were their absolute worst nightmare. He dispelled every stereotype they have about black people. The nuclear family, check. Father in the home, check. Educated, check. Decorum, check. Everything he did went completely against what they stand for. Now let's fast forward and see what's in the office right now. A baby daddy, check. A felon, check. A womanizer, check. A misogynist, check.
I gotta put because you're saying that Obama went against everything the right stands for?
He went against every stereotype they push out, but he represented everything they tried to stand for.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
Everything he is what they say this country should be. So when it was shown at the highest level, they were like, hell the fuck no. Yeah. So, because think about it, he's nuclear family, Christian, all those things. Yeah. I thought he checked all their boxes.
Well, they say he's Muslim, Mike. They say he's a Muslim.
They tried, right? They tried and that didn't work, right? So what happened? All they could do was demonize him and say he was a divider, but he really wasn't. He was none of those things. It feeds the narrative and they bought into it. If you had to close your eyes and listen to those two men speak without even knowing the color of their skin, you would 100% gravitate towards Barack Obama. It's not even a fucking question. If you just read the words on paper, if you read their resume on paper and you never looked at the two, you wouldn't even think the other one was a candidate for president, Jim. Let's be honest. You know what I did? You know what I did yesterday?
What's up?
You know what I did yesterday?
Talk to
I
me.
filled out some Department of Defense paperwork for one of my employees that's going in the military, right?
Okay.
So as his employer, so I get the sheet. Damn it, I should have took a picture. The questions they're asking a soldier to enlist in the military, Donald Trump wouldn't even qualify to be a motherfucking soldier in the military.
What do they ask you? I'm curious.
Are you a felon? Any financial issues? Any character issues that we should know about? Is this person dependable? All of these things they has been through this will tell you exactly what I'm talking about. He qualified to list as an Army soldier in the military, based on that form I filled out yesterday.
Well, you know they think the felon
Put
is.
a one in the chat. Watch this. Put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat if I'm telling the truth.
I think
So
the,
I'm just telling you, Tim. We have, yeah.
I think,
We
but I
lowered the
think
bar so low.
but the felony thing, I believe that the right believes the felony thing is nothing more than a Democratic hoax. The Democrats trying to railroad President Trump.
They can say whatever they want. The proof is in the pudding. It is what it is. I don't care what they think. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, real quick, because I only got a few minutes. I got a meeting at 2. Real quick. Did you see that letter from the cheerleaders in the Carmelo Anthony case? Did you ever read that email?
No, but I watched the Megyn Kelly presentation of the video today. I haven't been following that case anymore since it's, we've kind of moved on. But no, what did I miss?
There is an email that the cheerleaders sent to the coaching staff, right?
Before or after the trial? Is this something that just happened?
Before.
Okay.
Back in 2024.
Oh.
Sent it to the coaching staff about the Metcalf's behavior, about how Hunter just rages and went off on the cheerleaders. Let me start. I'm trying to pull it up before my meeting. If not, I'll come back after my meeting if you let me back up, and I'll read it to you. Well, let's fast forward. People were asking, was the email legit? Not only was it legit, the mother was on the live the other day. I'll send you that too. She verified that it was true. She also verified that, between the two, because they said Hunter stood up on a table and called one of the cheerleaders a fat bitch in the middle of a Raising Cane's restaurant after a game that they lost to a Liberty High School. Now, I went researching.
But Mike, I'm going to say, even if they were bullies, I don't know if that still justifies what Carmelo Anthony did. I mean, because Carmelo, it's not like when Carmelo Anthony plunged the knife into the guy, they were on top of him pummeling. Now, they may have been capable of that, but they weren't doing it when he killed him.
Again, first of all, two things, and I'm glad you said that. I only got a couple minutes. I really like to dig into this. Number one, they testified that Hunter didn't do nothing. They testified that Hunter didn't do anything. They made it seem like that these boys just went up and said, "Hey, do you mind leaving the tent? Do you mind just kind of?" What the email confirmed is that Hunter and Austin have been bullies at that school, have been raising hell at that school to the point where the cheerleaders are afraid of them. The coaches knew about it. The mom knew about it. So when you try to represent these boys in court, it does matter if they were bullies. It does matter that they that they're aggressive. Yes.
What needs to come out in appeal is they need to find some students who can testify like those cheerleaders. Because if one cheerleader has that mindset, obviously other students have seen and feel that way as well. I mean,
absolutely.
It goes back to what I said and many others have said on many lives and all over social media. He had bad lawyers, man. He had bad counsel.
I told him, either they were brilliant or they were terrible. Meaning they
sound terrible. If this cheerleader is out there, and they don't set this shit a year or two ago, and his lawyers did, they're not brilliant. They're not good lawyers. I mean, remember Johnny Cochran finding out. Remember Johnny Cochran finding out Furman used the like a decade ago. That's what a good lawyer can do.
And he said, don't put his ass on. You damn right. And I do think in the appeals process, it'll come out. I know I got a meeting to get to it too. I do want to finish the conversation. I'm going to send you the letter so you can read it. And I want you to read it on your show because there's some very interesting details that talk about the character of who these boys were and their parents. It's significant.
All right, I'll take a look at it and read it
All
out.
right, I'll do it right now. I'll get back in your queue after my meeting.
Appreciate it. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Tap the screen, folks. Get the likes on up. Help your boy out the hat mustache TikTok cap goals. There obviously will be an appeal on behalf of Carmelo Anthony. So I don't, like I said, so far, I'm going to say still to this point, I have not seen enough to suggest Carmelo Anthony should be at home. 35 years. Murder one, yeah, it sounds a bit harsh, but I'm in the camp that he did take a life, and I still don't see enough evidence. At least me. I know a lot of my viewers have seen more or believe they've seen more or have a different opinion than me. So a lot of you folks do feel that what he did was in self-defense or stand your ground or whatever. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there. I still believe that Carmelo Anthony took a life as an option. I mean, to me, it's like the Iran war. It's like the Iran war, what Trump is telling us. That was optional. Same thing with the Iraq war. The Iraq war, too, were optional. Taking lives as an option versus a necessity. So that's my opinion on that. And if more evidence comes out, I'm willing to move and shake where the evidence goes. But from what I've seen so far, it looks like he took a life as an option. And then, of course, I'm watching the video coming from Megyn Kelly on her show. And now she leans right. There's no denying that. And you know what that means for any issue that's racial. But she did present video evidence showing what you can see all the way across on the other side of this, right after the shanking took place. Carmelo Anthony ran out of there at a real high rate of speed with people in tow. He ran out, and they were pointing him. I think one of the coaches or somebody finally tackled him. They were like, catch him. He stabbed somebody, but he shanked him, and he's moving at a real high rate of speed getting out of there. And it just leads me to ask the obvious question. If you could get away, why didn't you just get away before taking somebody's life? You didn't have to do that. You chose to do that as an option. Once you took his life, you had no problem getting away. So that's where I have an issue with it. But folks are arguing, stand your ground. You didn't have to run away and all that. To me, stand your ground is exactly what I just said. It gives you the legal right to take a life as an option, where you may not have to take a life, but the law says you don't have a duty to retreat. You can just stand there and defend yourself up to and including lethal force. So I'm a little different in that, but I will read it aloud, Mike, when we cover it. Looking in the comments though, real quick, continuing on. I bet you didn't know this, but Russia has socialist programs as well. I think just about every nation on earth does a little bit more for its citizens than America does. And to be honest with you, when you factor in GDP and what a nation is capable of doing for its citizens, I think America probably would be at the bottom in terms of how generous a nation is to its own citizens. If you had to list each nation based on how much that nation has as a GDP versus percentage of their GDP that they spend on their citizens, I bet America would be pretty fucking low. We would be pretty close to the bottom down there, because there are nations that are giving their citizens healthcare and housing and stuff that have a significantly lower GDP than America does. So I think we would probably be pretty low. There are nations that help out with parental, when a woman gives birth, they help out with the medical expenses for that. There's nations that help out with advanced education, tuition, and things like that. Daycare. There's nations that help out with stuff like that. We don't help out in a lot of areas. There's a lot of areas we do not look out for our people. And I'll tell you this way. In terms of first world nations, most first world nations don't have the level of homelessness we do. So I think it would be pretty low in terms of that. In the comments, there will come a point in time where the money will stop. Oh, I saw that already. Tap the screen, get us on up to 20,000. But the problem is a lot of The problem is a lot of you wait for a long time to be seen as far as doctors. It's better than nothing at all, though. I understand that in a system where you have universal health care, there can be a long wait for particularly stuff that's not a dire emergency. Like, let's say you need a knee injection or a knee replacement or a hip replacement. Yeah, you might wait 6 months, a year or whatever, and you're waiting to get this done. But if you take into consideration what somebody has to wait when they don't have health care at all, they don't get it. There is no wait. They don't get it at all. So to me, a wait is an improvement over nothing at all. So I'm going to go with the wait every time. I would rather go with the wait and try to figure out ways to tweak how long the waiting period is than to continue doing what we do in America, which is you don't get it at all. So I think we're worse off, standing there complaining about a wait period. In the comments, Chris says they pass away. As I just stated, we're comparing the agony of waiting to somebody who's not going to get it at all. I'm still going to say put me in the waiting category. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for the person waiting. There's nothing there at all for the person that, in America, we don't have to wait. We already know you're not getting it. I don't see the benefit in that. He's just trying to make it hard for women. I saw that. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Don't know why it's not. I got a poll going on, by the way, in regards to can America unite under President Trump? That's the question. Can America unite under President Trump? Small amount of respondents on YouTube so far, 48, a little bit less than 50 respondents. 75% of the respondents say no. America cannot unite under President Trump. Wow, that's his legacy, by the way. That's going to be part of his legacy. If it's that divisive, that's going to be part of the president's legacy. People in Canada are recommended to just have an assisted suicide rather than wait months and die. People in Canada come to the United States to get care because they can't. So what do people in America, if people who are waiting in Canada are recommended to get assisted suicide rather than wait months and die, what do the people in America get recommended that's not going to get the procedure at all? We're complaining about the how poor the system in Canada is ran. Okay, so what do we tell the people in America who are not going to ever get it at all? Or should we skip over that part? Let me go back to the box, tap the screen, get the likes on up, if you will. Jeremy, welcome to the program. We're talking about, now you voted for Trump at least once, I believe. Uniting under President Trump. Is that possible? What say you? Good evening, Jeremy.
Well, we would unite instead. We would unite despite President Trump.
So it can be done with him.
Well, it can be done with him, but more like in spite of him.
Explain.
So he's just not a good president, and he's not somebody that I particularly like because he's someone who doesn't follow up on his promises, and he just doesn't and seem to be doing anything right. He's really even amongst the right, most of the right has started to turn against him.
And you are a former Trump voter. Do you regret your vote at all?
Yeah, I already said it. I did. I've said that several times.
Yeah, I think I may have asked you that. Wow. Do you have other folks, friends, family members, associates that's in your life that are still Trump on the Trump train?
Yeah, my mom.
Why is that? What do you think? What have you seen that she has not?
She just doesn't pay as much attention to politics, so she doesn't. So when she does vote, she kind of sticks with her vote, and so she doesn't see all the smaller details. She doesn't, and it's like she'll just believe whatever Fox News tells her. Which at her, she's old. She's getting up there in age. She's in her 60s. So at that point, most people aren't going to stick around much longer. They don't have to worry about the same things we do when we're younger, and we're going to have to live with this for longer.
It's said that,
and it's kind of a peaceful thing.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that because we played a clip yesterday. I don't know if I still have it queued up, but Marjorie Taylor Greene said something very similar. She said that MAGA has fractured, and it's mostly just baby boomers and older folks that are going by what Fox News is feeding them. She said almost exactly what you just said.
Yeah. You know, you can spin almost anything and make it look good or bad. I mean, if you have enough media training, you know, and that's what Fox News does. Is that, you know, now I'm not going to just wail on Fox News the entire time, because every station that has its own bias, and you know, MSNBC is no better for Democrats. You know, they do the exact same thing, but for them.
And I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that. Sorry about that. I don't disagree that MSNBC is Fox News in reverse. And I tell that to my MAGA viewers all the time when they're criticizing CNN and MS Now and all. I'm like, if you're not saying nothing about Fox News, then you're okay with biased news, because yeah, you're right. They're doing the same thing in reverse. Like Trump is always criticizing the reporters and folks from CNN, but he's got Peter Doocy on, or Steve Doocy, whatever his name is, and he's letting this guy like, this guy's doing the same thing you're talking about CNN is doing. He's just doing it on your behalf. He's doing the same shit.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something I think we need to understand about what's going on. Now, the thing is, we can still unite, though, as a country, but there's something that the left wing, the center left, like the Democrats, are going to have to acknowledge that I don't think they're quite comfortable with.
Explain.
No matter how bad the past was, you're going to have to let it go.
Mm.
You can ask for remembrance and it being taught in the history book so we don't repeat it. You know, I have no problem with that. But slavery has been over for a long time now. Jim was gone. You're going to have to admit that you can't punish the children that were born in the year 2000 for something that happened in 1874.
How are they trying to punish modern day people for that?
Reparations.
Reparations is going to come from all of us, Jeremy. If they give African Americans reparations, it's coming out of the federal tax dollars. That means wealthy black people are paying that shit too. It ain't just white people. Hispanics, Asians, everybody who contributes federal tax dollars, that money's coming from there.
There's also things like critical race theory that needs to die as well. That shouldn't be taught in schools.
Explain to me exactly what you think critical race theory is, because I don't know any school that teaches that. And that was a big pushback, is that nobody's teaching this. But give me your theory on what that even is.
Critical race theory is a theory that supposes that through a communist lens, and that most of the inequality in the United States, it's in the Western world, is related specifically to racial bias and racial hatred.
I want, if what you're saying is true, I want that shit, Todd, because what you're trying, what you would be trying to suggest is we held back one group of people for the overwhelming majority of America's history. We only stopped doing it a few generations, maybe 2 or 3 generations ago. And you want to be taught that has no effect on the current generations. There are people who still have wealth from that area, Jeremy, that an African American or a minority had no access to. There are people whose families still have wealth from a generation where nobody else could get it. Yeah, it should be taught.
No, Tim.
So should we pretend that ain't true?
It isn't, though.
You're telling me, let's say the Hughes family, the Rockefellers, all of these Kennedys, you're telling me none of that money's still in their families, that they accumulated at a time when it was impossible for minorities to accumulate it. You're telling me none of that money is still in those families?
Tim, most of the money that was in those families is gone.
You're telling me being born a Kennedy has no privilege to it at all anymore? Being born a Rockefeller, no privilege.
Kennedy is one of the few families that maybe that kind of happens with.
Rockefellers,
get off of oppression.
Rockefellers, the Hughes,
the Rockefellers. Most of the Rockefellers don't have the same money that they used to.
I guarantee you that if you're a descendant of the Rockefellers, you are being born further ahead than the average black child. You're telling me there's no difference?
Yeah. Well, here's something you want to know. You know the Jamie Johnson, the heir to the Johnson & Johnson family?
Okay.
He's broke.
Okay, people can get fortunes and squander it, but the fact is
that's the thing. That's the thing, Tim. That's the thing. Wealth tends to last 3 generations before it dies.
Not that case. So what are you saying? 3 generations down the line, the Elon Musk family gonna be broke?
Yes, more than likely.
You gotta be kidding me. 3 generations?
Tim, I'm serious. Tim,
no, you're not. You're not
yes,
serious.
I am, Tim. You can laugh at me all you want, but every reasonable economist has observed this. Every single credible economist has observed this. All levels tends to last 3 generations.
So how do you explain Trump? His father was wealthy. Trump is the 2nd generation. His kids, Don Jr. and Eric and Barron, their kids are gonna be fucking.
They're outliers.
Oh, really? That's what we dealing with now. Outliers now, huh? Okay, I believe it.
Tim, you.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, and again, you gotta eat, and there's tons of other examples I could give as to like how we've tried to enculturate racial hatred towards towards white people for things that most white people haven't been around for. Yeah, and it just needs to stop. And the thing is, white people shouldn't join the likes of Nick Fuentes or other hateful people who want to do the same thing back, because that's just ignorance. That's just.
Let me ask you this: how do you believe African Americans should respond to an administration that's naming bases back at the Confederates and literally getting rid of Black history? They're treating Confederate history, which happened at the same time as the era you're saying to get over. How should we view that administration that seems to be more favorable to slave masters and oppressors than the slaves and the oppressed? What say you?
Is the president the majority of everyone in America, including white people?
Have you seen the size of his rallies? I've been to one. There's a whole lot of white people there, and they seem to like it.
Tim, most people in America don't favor most of that stuff.
Where are they at? Where the hell are they
at? Do you go outside?
Yeah, I see people all over the place that happen to be Caucasian speaking out against Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. But when folks walk down the street with Confederate flags saying all kinds of hateful shit, it's a whole lot less of them protesting. Where are they at?
Confederate flags. Well, first off, most of the people who are probably doing that with Confederate flags are probably feds anyway. But let's just take them seriously for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's just take them seriously for a second. Okay. When that stuff happens, people should just call it out and say that that's not okay. It shouldn't be illegal. I don't agree with that.
I do.
If you want to wave around a Confederate flag,
I think it should be illegal.
I don't.
I mean, do you think it's?
I think it should be taboo.
If there's a Muslim that is elected, if a Muslim is elected to state government and his dad fought on behalf of ISIS, are you okay with them putting the ISIS flag in the state house?
Well, that's not the same thing.
Explain to me the difference.
I'm okay if he's. Here's the thing: if he wants to walk around with it and he's not putting it on an elected in like a government building, that's fine. And because he's a private citizen.
Okay, the Confederate flag is in government.
Private citizen.
The Confederate flag is in government buildings, Jeremy.
Oh, I didn't say that I'm okay with that.
Okay.
You're talking about 2 different things. In one hand, you're talking about some guy walking down the street with a Confederate flag, and you're talking about someone putting a specific flag of an adversarial nation and on the lawn of a government building.
You're saying an adversarial nation. You do realize that's what the Confederacy was trying to be, an adversarial nation.
That's why if someone wants to walk down the street as a private citizen with it, it's not the same as if they put a Confederate flag on the lawn of a government building as a government official.
Do you believe in African Americans seeing somebody waving a Confederate flag, if they automatically assume that person is racist, do you think they're wrong for assuming that?
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
Why do you think they're wrong for assuming that?
No. I said no. I said yeah. They are right for assuming that. I'm saying that's not the same thing. What you were talking about, so when it comes to making something illegal, was like you can make it an arrestable offense, versus something like, oh, like I don't want to serve this person because they put a Confederate, they walk around with a Confederate flag. I'll ask them to leave my restaurant. Okay, that's a very different thing. There's a difference between. Yeah, there's a difference between choosing to disassociate with somebody versus saying, "Oh, you should go to jail."
Yeah, but you do agree then that an African American looking at anybody supporting the Confederacy or waving around a flag or whatever, you do agree that they have a legitimate reason to think that person or that group of people are racist.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Unless they're doing a Civil War reenactment, yeah, absolutely.
That's a large portion of the Republican Party in the South, Jeremy.
Well, that's something that we need to purge out of the party.
Now,
but again, that's something that we can talk about. That's part of there's not one thing that we need to do in order to unite, but there are several things. And again, one of them is going to have to be for like normal average people. Like I live in Wisconsin. There's no Confederate flags here. The people
they're there. They just ain't putting them out and displaying them. But I bet you in some of the rural areas in Wisconsin, there are Confederate flags. But it's certainly not like it is in the South. I agree with you there. But I guarantee you, there are people up north that have Confederate flags. They just aren't as bold with it.
Even that, I doubt that. Like Tim, the majority of meat is here in my state. Like if you met my dad, he's as conservative as staunch conservatives can be, and he wouldn't care that you're black. He wouldn't care at all. He just wouldn't want to be blamed for something that he never had any part of.
Hearing since the beginning of time is I don't care about your color. I'm not racist. Nobody comes out and says, "Hi, my name is Tim. I'm a racist." Racists generally deny they're racist. Even when they're doing racist shit, well, no, this ain't racist. I just think you should be over there and we should be over here. You should date your own and we should date our own. I'm not racist. I'm just for the promotion of the white race. Even the Klan says they're not racist. So everybody says what you're saying. I'm not saying your dad is anything, but what you're saying is, I'm just saying that if you go by people just telling you, I don't mind people's skin color, you're going to go by what a lot of liars are telling you, because nobody says skin color matters. They all say it don't matter.
Okay, but even based on the actions that most people in the white areas of America do, they don't try to do any.
So what about
human being construed as?
So when Trump starts renaming bases after Confederates, and he's getting rid of all kinds of history that attributed to black people, is it wrong for folks that are of color to look at him and say he is racist?
No, that's fine.
We're getting so in other words, okay. So in other words, you understand that part there. Real quick in the comments before we continue, Jeremy. Jay Sid says, "Imagine you play Monopoly." I mentioned that before. Imagine you play Monopoly and the other players go around the board and buy up properties while you have to sit still and can't play. Then the 20th round, you're allowed to start playing. That's the case for reparations. That's what I've said as well. But my caller here is saying that really there is no effect of what we've done in this country for 400 plus years. There's no effect on the modern generation. You and I disagree on that. I don't think there's anything we've done in this country, whether it's saying the anthem, the pledge, or how we view guns. If we've done something one way for a long period of time, it has an effect on how we live today. I just don't, you and I totally disagree on that part.
That's fine. But again, it just needs to happen. In order to really unite, you can't hold grudges forever, especially against people who were not alive to do most of the injustices that you're angry about. You see, you can have, that's why I'm okay with Black History Month. That's why I am okay with things like, slavery being taught in schools. And actually, I think it should be. That's why I'm okay with making movies like 12 Years a Slave, or shows like Roots. I'm okay with all that, okay? What I'm not okay with is saying things like, all white people are just inherently racist, or black people can't be racist themselves. We're having just attitudes like that. That's not okay. It should be made fun of. It should be taboo to say stuff like that.
Well, if that's the case, though, you do realize they're accusing African Americans of burning down whole cities and shit. I mean, if you don't want people to be stereotyped, you got to understand that blacks are being stereotyped. I mean, there's all kind. You know the popular stereotypes of African Americans. There's plenty of negative stereotypes of African Americans. Just like they don't work, they sit on welfare all day, they're lazy. You can't complain about whites being stereotyped without pointing to or at least addressing the fact that there's a lot of whites that stereotype blacks.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, unless it's in comedy, because I think comedy is one of the few places where you can say things that you probably shouldn't say in real life. I don't think that those stereotypes about black people are okay either. I think that even though there's more black people that commit more violent crime than white people,
I don't even think that's
overall,
true.
most people don't commit. Although, let me finish. Most black people don't commit violent crime. Period. So it's just of those who do. There's more of that.
Do you think the system? Do you think the system treats all races equally?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't.
And you don't want them to have a gripe while you're admitting that it's you understand the folks walking around with Confederate flags may be racist, and you're also admitting the system is not treating folks equally, but you want them to shut up about what happened in history while you're kind of admitting it's still happening now.
Except, Tim, when I said it doesn't treat everyone equally, I was actually talking about DEI.
The DEI thing, listen, I've heard Charlie Kirk on that, and I've heard Trump and all that on the DEI thing. I'm talking about the criminal justice system. Do you think that treats everybody equally?
I don't think it's 100% perfect, but I think it treats people equally more often than not. It's not perfect, and one thing I really think needs to happen is we need to have more public defenders, so that way they're not overwhelmed with different cases, and they can actually do their jobs well. Because I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea that, and I'm sure you can and I can agree on this, that I don't think that your pocket and your wallet should be able to determine whether you're innocent or not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think that that's something that can happen to anybody. I don't think that's a black or white thing.
Yeah, but it's the over-policing. It's the fact that they've been able to show that African Americans in front of a judge for the same crime as a white person get a tougher sentence. I mean, there's enough history on this, Jeremy. You yourself are a reader and a researcher. Try finding studies that suggest that whites and blacks get treated the same way in court versus the studies you can find that suggest it's just the opposite. Even the police. Even a lot of police officers, folks who work for the police department, defense attorneys who work in the courts are telling you this stuff is biased. I mean, you don't have to take the word of African Americans that are trying to recite what happened in slavery. Take the word of people that work in the system of all races. Talk to a white defense lawyer and ask him, does the system treat your African American clients as equal to? Just talk to them. They're telling you. Cops are telling you. People who work the system are telling you, yeah, it's unfortunate, but yes, they'll make it clear to you that, yeah, the system is a little bit skewed. Don't get in trouble is the advice, because, if you really want to avoid an unfair system, start by not committing crimes. But even if you do commit a crime, the system shouldn't treat you, less fairly than somebody else that did. And they all tell you that. Last word to you. I got to move it on, though.
Sure, yeah. Well, again, I do still think that, back to the main points, that we can still unite, but there needs to be a belief that the people who are here now are responsible for what they do now, and not from what ancestors did, because otherwise it just never ends. Now, one thing that I think we can do to unite, that I think will help out a lot of people, is I think we need to find issues that everyone agrees on. For instance, a good example of this would be that there are some states in which it is okay, under the law, to marry someone under the age of 18. I think we could reform that and make it so that way those things are no longer possible. If we started focusing on universally agreed upon things, I think we'd find that the left and the right are not so different.
And of course, we would have to
Tim, we need a unified goal. We need something that we can both work towards together. Otherwise, we'll just keep arguing about the same stupid shit over and over and over again.
Fair enough. I'll leave it at that. Jeremy, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for coming through. Tap the screen. Thank you. Get the likes on up if you will. Get us on up to 35,000. This guy talks a good game, but that's it, says Birdman. We live rent-free in white people's heads, says Crappy. Well, look, there's benefit to having boogeymen. And under President Trump, we probably have boogeymen to a higher level than we've ever had. I mean, with President Trump, you name the group of people, and I can tell you what they're suggesting that there's the danger that person poses. I mean, Trump is saying that Muslims pose a danger, immigrants pose a danger, African Americans pose a danger, LGBTQ pose a danger. I mean, Trump is the king at making boogeymen. It's worked very well for him. However, the question we're asking today is, can America unite? And no, it's not going to unite if you're trying to say members of the population are boogeymen. That would probably be the first thing you got to get rid of. I wanted to just state this before we move on and tap the screen, get the likes on up. And help people out the hat, mustache, TikTok, cap goes, if you will. I got to solicit that. Look out for the program. In regards to African Americans getting over the past, I recommend two things. I think there's two things, and reparation is not it. I don't think reparation will ever culminate to reality. So I'm not recommending reparations, but I do believe there are two things that could be done to help get over the past. Number one, be honest about it. Quit lying and saying the Civil War was not about slavery and all this other bullshit. I think if America had been honest about the past, we would be a lot further along in terms of getting over the past. But fact is, we know America tried its best to hide what happened in the past. A lot of the atrocities that took place back in the 16, 17, and 1800s were discovered in our lifetime. Mass graves and people's property that got taken and lynchings and all kinds of stuff. A lot of that stuff was discovered just in our lifetime. So number one, be honest about what happened. Put all the cards on the table. That's what happened in Germany after the Third Reich was defeated, which is why it's not as hostile there about it, because all the cards are put on the table. Now, I'm not going to give credit to Germany for that. I'm going to give credit to the Allies, because we forced the Germans to come to justice, or better yet, to face reality for what they did. We dragged German citizens from towns through concentration camps. So we're going to make sure you see what happened, all these bodies and shit, and we're going to film you watching it. So there's no way in hell in the future you can say this didn't happen. And despite all that evidence, there are still a few folks in Germany that support Adolf Hitler that try to say it didn't happen, or not as many people were. So the point I'm making is, had we not forced the Allies, had the Allied nations not forced the German people to see and acknowledge what their government had done, they would be doing the same thing the Confederates are doing here in America, trying to speak favorably of what happened and downplay all the atrocities. They would be still doing it too. But we prevented that from happening in Germany, and we've allowed it to happen in America, where folks are talking about the Confederacy was just about pride and heritage and all of this shit. I mean, it's crazy. It's kind of like wearing Jeffrey Dahmer on your shirt saying, well, I just want to represent my uncle. I just want to show love to my uncle. The motherfucker's a serial killer. He used to eat people. I just want to represent him. And that's what we have with the Confederates. That we allowed them to not only still idolize what they were doing, but to even give tributes, honors, naming schools and streets and stuff after folks who were actively committing acts of treason. So number two, in addition to being truthful about the past, that needs to stop. You can't expect the victims of the past to stop talking about being victimized when you're allowing the victimizers to still celebrate and honor what their people were doing. Until those two things go away, you're not going to get people to stop talking about the past. Because what we have is the group of people that are suggesting African Americans need to get over the past and stop having gripes about it are the same folks that are defending the Confederates' right to talk about their past and honor their ancestors. You're never going to get over it like that. You want them to stop talking about it. You gotta have the folks who are celebrating the oppressors and celebrating the slave owners. They gotta stop talking about it too. And there's no push for that on the right. They're okay with the slave masters and the oppressors still being honored. They just want the descendants of the victims to shut the hell up. That's just not going to happen. I don't see any way possible, any way, shape, or form to make that happen. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 40,000. Looking in the comment section briefly here, this is how clueless the left is. California gas prices are still over $5 a gallon, yet they think Trump is at fault. Look around Cali. What other states add foods? Let me push back on that. And you're right, California has high taxes and the cost of living in California is horrible. But you guys spend a whole lot of time talking about the high cost of living in California, and you don't say anything about the deplorable conditions in Mississippi, rural Louisiana, Kentucky. There's a lot of Republican states with no liberals around at all, where the people are living like shit. You guys are talking about California and ignoring them. The literacy rates are the worst in Republican states. The healthcare rates are the worst in Republican states. Infant mortality, the worst in Republican states. And you're focused on gas prices in California? At least the motherfuckers in California got jobs and enough to pay it. There's plenty of cars on the street in California. We're talking about Republican states where people don't have health care. So I'm not going to deny that things can be ran better in California, but those Bible Belt states, people are living dirt poor, and you're focusing too much time on liberal areas. You can criticize the left, but you need to take care of your own while you're doing it, and that's just not happening. Other than Texas and Florida, and maybe Georgia, there's a whole lot of shit in between that's not doing very well. And you're talking all the way about what's happening in California. Ain't no liberals around. What's your excuse? Tap the screen, going back to the box in the comment section if I can. Talking about uniting the country under President Trump, whether that is even possible. As you see, some of my viewers are saying not. I don't know why YouTube on this particular device seems to be frozen. Before I move on, I want you to hear this quick clip, because this is kind of pertaining to what my last caller was talking about in regards to, the difference between MAGA and the Fox News viewers. And I don't know what's happening here, but give me a second here. There we go.
I actually don't believe that. I actually see it more the other way around. And which is a problem.
If that's true, that's a huge problem. Huge.
Yes.
Huge.
And if he can control it, but it was enough.
Actually, I don't have it queued up to the right time. I want you to hear this, because I think this is exactly what my last caller was talking about, but I don't see I may not be able to do it because I don't see where I had the time frame, the time period marked. This is an hour interview between Chris Cuomo, formerly of CNN, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I think it's worthy of hearing. And they would pick right in the middle of it to throw a commercial. We'll bring it up with the next caller. There is many, what does that say? It's many vultures. I don't know what you're trying to spell there, Julian Boucher. They'll pick your vultures is what you're trying to say. Okay, there are many vultures. They'll pick your bones clean before morning. Okay, I don't understand the relevance of that, but you can let me know in the. What do you mean by there's many vultures? And I'm gonna see if I can clip this in here.
Having been a waste of money and a waste of blood and a waste of this, and now the regime is bolder than ever. He has to make it a win. That's why they lie so much about this. That's why he has to say, we just had a great deal. We just signed a great deal, Marjorie.
When you say MAGA, there's a major break in what was MAGA.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. The only thing left of MAGA is neocons, people that like basically are spoon-fed propaganda on Fox News all day long, and baby boomers. That's pretty much the only thing left of MAGA.
That's different. That's kind of what my last caller was saying, is that MAGA's fractured to that level. Wow. I think there's still plenty of young MAGA. I mean, do you think Charlie Kirk would have still been MAGA if he was around? I don't know. I don't know if MAGA's fractured as much as she's saying, but that is, I don't know. For some reason on YouTube, folks, I cannot see any of the comments, and I don't like that. I'm sure some of you folks are commenting. It's not showing me any of the comments. Too bad we can't ask him since dark. No, we can't. I'll ask him tomorrow when he's on. Plenty of sub-mental young people still supporting Republicans. Supporting Republicans is different than supporting MAGA, though, sir. So it's a difference. Mitt Romney, John McCain's family, they're Republicans. You got Tom Massey that Trump has had primary. You got a lot of Republicans. Those are not MAGA, though. There's a difference between MAGA and Republicans. So that there is a difference there. Let me go back to the box, and we'll make it happen with Moon. Good evening, Moon. Tim Scott is MAGA. Yeah, Tim Scott is MAGA. The ones who are going to defend Trump no matter what, even though you might be able to find clear-cut evidence that they're defending something that maybe a few months or a few years ago they were adamantly against, those people are MAGA. They're not going to criticize Trump no matter what. But you're starting to get more folks that will speak out if he does something that they disagree with. But the MAGA side of the aisle, they're certainly in terms of politics, MAGA is not going to push back on Trump no matter what he does. You're starting to get some of them are fracturing off. Stick, good evening. Stick the ruler, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
I'm doing good. Talking about, can the country unite under President Trump? What say you?
Nah, Tim, it's not happening. Okay, so what has he done in your eyes to where it's something that the United States, as a whole country, minus race, what has he done for us to unite?
He secured the border. I think that was wanted.
That's not uniting. Stop it, Tim.
You said, what has he done? What has he done that everybody can get behind? I think everybody wanted the borders to be secure, right?
Everybody did want the border to be secure. Everybody wasn't focused on the border to begin with. Democrats, when they came in with a plethora of people that were being disenfranchised and not, marginalized communities that had their grievances, and not one of those communities was the border grievance. So that was a MAGA talking point that's always been Tea Party and people who don't like other races. Let's just keep it serious, keep it straight up. They don't like other races, so they are who they are. They're out there out front waving their flags, and they got their.
That's not all of MAGA, though, Stick. All of MAGA are not people who don't like other races.
So for whatever reason, Trump said he hates Democrats.
Yeah.
With an S. Yeah. So I'm saying it the same way he says it. If he can feed his people whatever he want them to hear him say, and they want to run with it, I see them doing something. I'm gonna make, if you part of MAGA, you a part of it. That's you. That's who you are. Embrace it.
Yeah, but how do you respond to some of my MAGA viewers who might say, look, the Democrats were not giving us any viable option. We didn't think Kamala Harris was capable. You guys were trying to put a weekend at Bernie's up there for another 4 years. I mean, now that we've seen Biden post his presidency, it's pretty clear Biden was not capable of running another term. And the Democrats tried to push this guy through. So we can talk about Trump, but they're going to say, look, for all of Trump's faults, you guys didn't give us a choice in the matter. We couldn't take what you were offering us.
You can take whatever. Right now, you're taking whatever. Today, you're the shape of a star because he has his silly putty goddamn stencil, and it's full of shapes. It's full of circles. You've been a circle before.
What are you talking about?
Wars. Yeah, no New Wars shape was a circle because it basically is an example of being the world. At the time that they were a circle, it was no new wars. As soon as his goddamn ass got in the office and he did his Iran shit, he turned them into a rectangle, right? He turned them into a rectangle. So again, now we're back at the star. They are stars right now. He's taken his stencil and he's shaped them into whatever he wants them to be. That's who MAGA is. They will be fluent like water, but the only difference is he trims off the fat with the stencil. You know how if you got too much, the extra oozes out and it cuts off. Yeah, that's what happens with MAGA. For the ones that don't like it, you're the piece of little, Play-Doh that was too much.
I don't know if I
like it. Okay.
I don't know if I see it like that. I would like Jeremy, who voted for Trump before, and I've had other viewers on here who have. They're not exactly elated with what Trump is doing, but look, I say this all the time. Whether you're African American, whether you're white, or there were legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. I understand it. So you're not faulting people that voted for Trump, are you? Because what Trump is doing is not what he promised.
What you're saying was there was legitimate lies that Trump told you that he was going to do. And that's the reason why you voted for him, because you believe the lies. Cool.
Every politician lies,
if
though.
You're one of those people. Well, no, he wasn't a politician. Neither the first time when he told 33,000 lies or this time. And I think they're still counting. So my whole point of it is, again, Tim, like MAGA, y'all got this idea in y'all head that whatever Trump says, it's okay. Even though, again, he trims the fat a lot because he's losing y'all. I mean, y'all lost Marjorie Taylor Greene. That was a big chunk of fat or a piece of Play-Doh that got cut off. And anybody that's been, I'm just saying, she couldn't fit. And so when he pressed down on the star and the extra Play-Doh was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I'm figuring out what you're talking about now. Those little toys with I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's that she couldn't fit. The problem with Trump, it kind of reminds me of the old 1980s song by Janet Jackson, "What Have You Done For Me Lately?" The problem is Trump demands 100% loyalty and compliance. So even if you got somebody like Liz Cheney or Marjorie Taylor Greene that is voted in favor of Trump over 95% of the time, if it's not at 100, you can find yourself on his bad side. And I think that's a big fault of the president, because you got true blue MAGA conservatives you're kicking to the curb off of a single issue. And he does that over and over again.
Well, the whole thing of it is kicking people off the curb ain't the problem. It's you hard their ass any goddamn way. You are the person that had all the faith. Just like, okay, let's just say Pete Hegseth, right? Right now he's the Secretary of War.
Yeah.
Okay, so Trump had already said, shit, if it don't go the way it's supposed to go, I blame Pete. If it don't go the way it's supposed to go, I'll blame the vice president. Yeah, he's already letting.
But MAGA's going to suggest that's a joke, though. And I agree with you, because Trump has shown that he would do that in real life. So I don't know why they would think it's a joke, but MAGA's going to say that's a joke.
No, when it happens, let me see what shape.
Let me interrupt you. I want to ask you this. Let me interrupt you. This is coming from a viewer. I want you to. Johnny Blade 748 says, explain why Trump is so bad when he is fixing all the problems the swamp created. The floor is yours, Stick. What say you?
He is the swamp. He created. That's the point I just made. I'm glad you said that. He is the damn swamp. He picks all of these people that he ends up firing, saying that they, okay, so if he just fires them, he'll say some shit, well, he's going to go off and do other great things, or she's going to go off and do other great things. It was the time she tried, he tried, whatever. But if you a motherfucker that done came like Marjorie Taylor Greene, hey, you know what? He was stupid, incompetent. Well, okay, but you hired the stupid, incompetent person. You put that person there. So you are the swamp. And it ain't no drain in the swamp. You filled that shit up with that nasty ass algae ass water, just like the damn reflection pool.
You in Red
Forest got frogs and moccasins and shit in the goddamn water. That's you. You brought that shit with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the hell is Doge at? If Doge's job was to find waste, fraud, and abuse, how the hell is that reflective pool not qualifying as that? You get rid of federal employees, but you see this pool as a necessity, all the money being lost to that. I don't get that one. I just don't get that one.
How about this one? How about this one, Tim? How much was it initially for the ballroom to be done?
Oh, well, according to Trump, it's going to come from the taxpayers.
No. Now it's going to come from the taxpayers.
I mean, no, according to him, it's going to come from donors. That's what I meant. It was going to come from private donors.
Okay, so now it's gonna. The first thing was I got $200 million I need. It's going to be all from donors, right? Then it went from 200 million to 400 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
I heard it has went up to $1 billion, and now the taxpayers have. Okay, so let's say you just only had 200 million from private donors.
The other 8.
Why isn't why isn't the stub on it 800 million?
Here's my issue with it. I don't. When Trump gives numbers, I don't know what you can and can't believe. But that viewer, Johnny Blaze, is saying you're giving typical swamp creature answers. He's saying you're still not explaining what was so bad about Trump.
Everything. His essence. He's cursed.
His essence.
His essence, man. I mean, when he's sitting around, people got to get away from him because he's farting and shit.
Oh, come on,
man. Look, listen, talking curse, man. He's always been a walking. That's why he has the herpy hands. Like, this is what I'm trying to tell you. He's a walking, talking curse. His fear over everything was trying to dodge diseases. But you're the one going and sleeping with these bras, but you trying to dodge diseases? Stay away from East European bras. If you're trying to dodge a disease, you need to make sure she's not from over there, and you need to make sure when you do bring over, make sure she's clean.
Herpy hands? Oh my God! So
you remember he had the hands?
Yeah. I've posted pictures of his hands with the makeup on them. I've posted pictures of them. So how do you feel? One of the other, before I move it on, one of the other topics we're talking about is Mamdani endorsed multiple socialist candidates that are doing well. Are we dealing with a rise in socialism in this country?
Oh yeah, because the people are starting to see, they ain't really trying to help me. They're not really trying to for me. So I'm gonna try this out. How about this, MAGA? Same reason y'all said, and the same reason these coons say, the Democratic Party ain't ever did nothing for me. Let me go vote for the Republicans. Let me see what they gonna do. Mm-hmm. And they got 18 to 20% of the black male vote. Now the women were smart as hell. 92% of them said, fuck no.
Yeah.
But I'm just being honest. They were right.
Why do you think Trump did so much better with black males than black females?
He did much better with black males only because they were males. And they in a sense, the ones that voted for Trump, not me, the ones that voted for Trump and like Trump and see something even in Trump, I believe that they the ones that can't make it in the black community. They the ones that gotta move out and gotta go somewhere else.
I gotta disagree with you.
I believe a sister done hurt him. Hold on. I believe a sister done hurt him. Maybe didn't want him in high school. And they saw him.
Oh my God.
That's just me. They crying and they act like Mr. Denali.
I gotta disagree with you. I gotta disagree with you. In fact, I think the black males that voted for President Trump, most of them are doing probably better financially, economically, than the black males that voted for the liberal side of the aisle. I mean, the Officer Tatum's, the Tim Scotts, the Clarence Thomases, most of these folks, I think black MAGA probably does better financially than a lot of the black male liberals. That's just, I mean, and I could be wrong, but I do believe that. I don't see too many hardcore impoverished black males talking about they voted for Trump.
Black MAGA got these charges that every man don't need, you know, touching little children. Black MAGA got they probably used to hit their old lady type charges. Black MAGA is on the ones on child support that's having problems paying their child support, and they just mad and upset. They sitting around, they don't know what to do, versus getting up off their ass and putting their bootstraps on and just getting out there in the world. They want to be mad at somebody. Everybody in MAGA has somebody to be mad at. Yeah. Black MAGA has the black woman to be mad at. Damn. Spanish MAGA has the Spanish Latino woman to be mad at. And then on top of that, they mad at the black folks inside their own organization. Like everybody's mad at some goddamn body for some reason. And all of them are mad at the LGBTQ and the trans. So at the end of the day, they combine their hate. And that's why we have Blagga, Splagga, and MAGA itself.
What the hell is Splagga? What is Splagga? What is that? Spanish MAGA, Spanish MAGA, Blagga. No, I agree with you though. Grievance. I agree with the part about MAGA. MAGA they do well with grievance politics. MAGA does have a problem with a lot of different groups and cultures. They're always pointing at some group of people that is doing something wrong to America. So it works well. I mean, Trump has made a killing off of that. It does work well for him. Mike the Sailor, appreciate it. Thank you. So it does work. I understand that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Got him elected.
Hold on. Listen what I'm saying, Tim. Just like how you're putting it to make it look like he's a good guy or he's a good candidate, he's a piece of shit. And the reason he's a piece of shit because none of that is positive. None of that helps, well, like you said, make the nation strong. He's a divider in chief. That's who he is. That's who he's going to be. He's going to be a little turd who thinks he's cool just because he got money. But at the end of the day, we see he's not part of the club. When Obama opened up his center, he didn't take that fucking high road and say, well, I'm going to invite his ass anyway. No, stay your bitch ass away from us. We don't like you. All the presidents was cool, high-fiving and fucking all the wives were talking. Yeah.
But he got the tech bros. He's in the in crowd. It's just not with the president. He got all the Elons and the Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg hanging around him. He got Dana White from the UFC. He is in the in crowd. It's just a different crowd.
I'm gonna say it again. He's not in the in crowd, the intellectual crowd. Dana White, he's around a bunch of people that hit people across the head every day. Somebody got brain damage.
How much more of intellectualism can you get than Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Elon? That's the smartest dudes in the room.
Bill Gates, number one. Yeah, they in the club. They cheating on their white club. They got something to do with Epstein club. Bill Gates. Oh yeah, he's on the files too. Oh yeah. So again, his wife just divorced his bitch ass. So like again, there's a club.
I think both of their wives, Bezos and Bill Gates' wives, left him.
Exactly. So they're in the same club. They in a divorce, cheating on the white club, and anything else. I'm a scumbag, but I don't want nobody to know. Let me pay somebody off type club. That's the club that they're in. Obama's in the club with Bill Clinton over there chilling with the other president.
Wait. You talking about people cheating on their wives, and you start out with Bill Clinton?
Listen what I'm saying. Being honest, that's been out there.
Yeah.
He was the president. He got some presidential dome. He didn't just have to pay somebody off. It is what it is.
Presidential dome. Presidential dome.
He got that presidential dome. He probably was smoking a cigar the whole time. My whole thing of it is, again, there's three other presidents, living presidents, chilling together. Their wives all are getting along, chilling together. They also got people like Stevie Wonder. They also got people like goddamn Common and John Legend and all of these people having a good ass time while he's over there having to listen to what Iran what the fuck they want to do.
Wait, he got Kid Rock. He had Hulk Hogan. He said,
hey, listen, Kid Rock, don't nobody listen to that bullshit. Kid Rock trash. He ain't had nothing good since Joe Dirt. Ain't nobody listening. Like, that was the last good movie he was in with Joe Dirt. I don't even like Michael.
He had the Village People stick. They showed up and showed out. The Village People came out.
You know why? Because he's their biggest supporter. That's why he be doing the little dance, jacking two people off at the same time. He's a Village person.
I gotta go, Stick. I gotta go.
No, I'm just saying. Grinder crashes after every convention and every rally. He just had one. Go see if Grinder crashed. Ask Alexa, did Grinder crash at the last?
I would leave that alone. I gotta move it on as always, Stick. You bring the noise every time you come. You bring the noise.
Hey, I'm glad I can still do it, Tim.
You do.
Have a good one.
Like no other. Stick the ruler, everybody. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Said presidential dome. Kind of like that. Get the likes up to 60,000 if you will. In the comments, Trump is a crybaby. Somebody says Donald Trump KKK. You guys are a bit harsh. What about that other turd? Let my turd destroy America. I don't get that one. So all he has is catchphrases. That's sad. At the end of the day, he won, she lost. I mean, I hear your point on catchphrases, handsome conservative, but that's what the president has too. I mean, the president's really good with catchphrases. Look, I mean, if it's good enough to elect, you're going to have people saying it. Real quick, in regards to my poll, nearly 200 respondents so far. Can America unite under Trump is the question for the poll. We've had nearly 200, 175 or so. 34% says yes, America can unite under Trump. 66% say no, America cannot unite under President Trump. So it's kind of hovering around that area. It's kind of hovering around that area. A lot of polls that may not be favorable to Trump often are in that 30% area because, I think it's because about 30% of the voting public are MAGA. So Trump is going to get 30% favorable on any poll that MAGA's involved in because about that amount of them are MAGA. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Yeah, the Dems have a dysfunctional herd mentality. They couldn't stand up for cancer survivors and shit. What do you mean? Oh, you talking about the boy they brought out there? They didn't stand up. I can't even remember because that's been a while ago. You talking about at the State of the Union address? Trump brought this. I think that young boy has passed away since then too. I think he died. But anyway, the Democrats did not stand up for that guy, and the Republicans made a big fuss over it. And we had a couple of live streams on it because MAGA was bringing that up. And I presented Joe Biden's last State of the Union address. And it's almost the exact same thing happened. I cannot remember what cause it was, but just like with Trump, where you would expect everybody to stand up for a little young man surviving cancer, Biden presented a point almost exactly like that. And the Republicans did not stand up for Joe Biden either. So this is why I always say President Trump was much better at selling messages, selling negativity, and trashing his opponents than the Biden-Harris team were. Because Biden didn't make a big fuss about it. Whereas the Trump administration was trying to use it in commercials and ads and every damn thing. But the Democrats not standing up for that young boy with the Democrats. If you look at Biden's last State of the Union before he left office, he said some things that the right should stand up for too, and they did not stand up. So that's just kind of how it works. I mean, in this era we're in, people do not stand up for the opposition if the opposition does something well. Like you often hear MAGA say, even if Trump cured cancer, the Democrats wouldn't support him. You think MAGA would apply for Obama or Biden if they done it? It would be the same thing. So it happens on both sides. Tap the screen. Donald Trump stole the speech legally from Donald Trump stole the speech from Legally Blonde movie. I don't know about that one. I haven't heard that. I know Melania Trump took a Michelle Obama speech, though. I do know that. Democracy is an illusion. Based on what? What makes you say that? Yep, and I see in the comments, Moses says Trump's wife plagiarized Michelle Obama's speech. Shut the fuck up, greatest president ever. I don't know if I would put Obama in as the greatest president ever. I don't know. I mean, what does he accomplish to put him in that realm? I mean, we can talk about maybe you think he's better than Trump, but I don't see Obama being the greatest president ever. I mean, his legacy doesn't have enough on it. I don't think Obama's resume has enough bullet points on it to qualify as best president ever. When I think about best president ever, I'm talking about stuff that a president accomplished that 50, 100 years from now, people will still be talking about. And by the way, I don't think Trump has anything there either, because a lot of folks believe that Trump is the best president we've ever had. By no means do I believe that either. I'm talking about stuff like defeating the Soviet Union, defeating Hitler, sending somebody to the moon, ending slavery, giving women the right to vote. This is shit we talk about in history books forever and ever. I don't know anything that Trump has done that's going to come even close to that. Obama being the first black president, which is a different type of accomplishment in itself. But in terms of actual policies and things that he got accomplished, I'm not going to put him at best president by any means. I don't see it. Looking in the comments, Trump is our first racist, rapist, con man, pedophile in office, says Mike Caldwell. Some of this you can't prove. I would say you can't prove he's a pedo. I'll leave it at that. Tap the screen. Trump is the first felon president. Yeah, that is true. Obama is white, says Snuffles TV. Don't know what that's about. Well, he's part. 50% of him is. Let me go back to the box. Plugs. What does that say? Plugs a can? So what is peace in the Middle East? Just another nice bowel movement? Something like that. What is the name there? Plugsation? How am I pronouncing that?
No, it's plugsation. It's plugsation.
Plugsation. Okay. Is there a meaning to that? Correct. You know, is that a meaning? Like yeah. you get with a woman alone and say, "I gave her a nice plugsation last night." What does that mean?
No. Plugsation is, I let my community name the channel. So that's actually the channel name. Plugsec is the brand. Plugsation is the community name, the channel name.
All right. So for the sake of this conversation, I'll consider you the plug. What brought you up?
A few of my viewers have told me to come give you a talk, man, a conversation. I seen you ask. Today's title was Can America Unite? And I just thought I'd chime in, give my opinion.
Let me have it.
I think that we can unite, but it's not going to be under the circumstances that we will want. I think it would have to be under something like a false flag, Lord forbid, or something along those sorts. I think there's too much divide here that's being socially constructed. When we're talking about race, we're talking about gender wars, we're talking about class wars, Gen Z's upset at the boomers. Boomers don't understand the young. It's just so much divide now that I believe that the only way we come together under Trump is a false flag.
Do you believe President Trump himself is maybe working to help unite the divide, or exaggerate it, or nothing? I mean, what do you think? What do you think Trump's place is?
He's definitely leaning into the divide. I think it's the divide and manage strategy, to where you get all of these groups having their own personal grievances and make it manageable. That way you can push forward initiatives. Like you were speaking about before, everybody that he brought in and got confirmed is gone. So in my opinion, they came in with a purpose. And once that purpose was fulfilled, they left.
Now I'm curious, based on our conversation so far, I'm interested in your voting choice in the 2024 election. I mean, you had Kamala and Trump.
I did not get to vote in the 2024 election. I didn't get my rights restored until April of this year. So this will be the first election since Obama era that I will be participating in.
If you could have voted, where might your vote have went?
It probably would have went to Trump. If I'm being honest, in that time, it probably would have went to Trump.
Are you happy with his performance now that he's in there for almost 2 years? Are you happy with his performance so far?
To answer your question directly, no.
What about, well, I'm assuming you were not happy with Biden's performance either, correct?
Correct. I have personal grievances with Biden as well.
So what? Okay,
I had grievances with the Biden era as well.
What? Let's start with Biden. What grievances did you have against former President Biden?
Well, for one, he had our strategic oil reserve. You know, Trump's came in and kind of surpassed that. But that was the first thing, is when we got the strategic oil reserves were at its lowest point. We seen of course, the open borders and things of those sorts. I'm more from Arkansas, so we really don't see as much of the, immigrant crisis, but those were things that were brought to my attention. But for me, the point was when the strategic oil reserves got to the lowest point, because he was trying to get gas prices down, running into the election. I was kind of like, that just didn't make sense to me.
Why are you not happy with President Trump? And by the way, folks, help your boy out with the hat and mustache shot cap goes. I think there's a few of you guys out there. Why are you not happy with the Trump administration?
Right now, it's just it's a lot going on.
There's always a lot going on.
It's a storm right now. So, correct. But there's a way to manage it. There's no class. It's really distasteful. He's upsetting a lot of people, and I believe it's purposely. And like I said, manage and divide. I would be dishonest with myself if I didn't say some of the statements that he makes is purposeful. It's purposeful, and it's meaning to cause a divide. It's meaning to bring these conversations and cause a distraction. We can say distraction for what sort of thing. So to wrap it all up, I would say a distraction to push forward certain initiatives.
Now, and thank you, Smokey, for the love. Now, some folks, this started out with this whole, one of the big things or the big scandals around Trump was this whole Epstein stuff. How do you feel about how that's turned out so far?
I mean, nothing's happened. It's kind of the same thing. It's holding the carrot out in front of everybody's face, like maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year. We still have hope. I'm sure that whoever is going to run in the 2028 election, the Epstein files will still be a thing. They're still going to push it to pull on voters. They're going to pull voters out with it again.
Yeah, but why has nothing
been released? So they're going to drag it.
But why has nothing happened? Are you suggesting that Trump is dragging or deliberately being evasive?
It is Trump, but it's also that this country fosters pedophilia. This is a country that fosters pedophilia.
You believe Trump himself, our president, is fostering pedophilia?
I believe the establishment is fostering pedophilia. I believe the courts,
Well, let's focus on the president. Let's not spread it out. Let's stick with what I asked you, though. I get what you're saying about the courts and stuff. Do you believe Trump, though, is fostering pedophilia?
Yes.
Wow. So you believe that he is, to some degree, I mean, you're kind of saying he's favorable to pedophilia or pedophiles.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Whether he favors it or not, I can't say. I'm not in his favor, but he doesn't care for sure. And not many of these people do care. It's a talking point. We've seen other countries, things happen. People lost titles. Pilots were arrested. People lost jobs, but in America, nothing happened.
But wait, this guy promised to drain.
Sweet idea.
Yeah, but here's the difference, though. Trump promised to drain the swamp. The other guys, he said, we're doing the stuff you're talking about. And by electing him, you're going to get a guy who is going to get to the bottom and expose all of this stuff.
Correct. We were swindled.
Wow. So well, like I said, you did not vote. So you're not part of the Trump 2028 train or none of that stuff.
No, I label myself as a biblically literal, prophetic independent. I believe that in the Bible, and I believe that what we're seeing now is prophecy either being fulfilled or force fulfilled. So I'm an independent. I don't subscribe to the Republican or Democrat Party.
Well, there has to be some of the tenets of both parties that we can figure. I mean, like, are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm pro-life with exceptions, so I do understand that certain things happen and women can die. I don't think a woman should die because of medical complications. But my personal choice is, yes, I'm pro-life.
What if she's sexually violated?
then I mean, like I said, I've never been a woman, but I do understand that atrocities happen. So
if she's sexually violated,
correct.
You wouldn't force her to carry that to term.
No, I mean, I wouldn't force anyone to do anything personally. I mean, policy does that, but yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Universal health care, what's your stance on that?
I believe that it's needed if we're the richest country in the world. We need to act like it.
Second Amendment, are you an absolutist? I live in an apartment complex, thousands of people. I want a 50. I live in Manhattan, downtown Manhattan. I want a 50 cal in my apartment. You okay with that?
Yes. Okay. Yes, and I believe all nonviolent offenders should be able to carry firearms too. Maybe not outside of the home, but they should be able to have a home defense weapon, nonviolent.
Well, I mean, you're kind of you certainly are kind of. I mean, because your stance on universal health care is anti-right, but your stance on the Second Amendment is probably against what the left would say. So. I mean, I can see some independence in that. I certainly can. I'm trying to think of some of the other hot button topics that I would. The Iran war. Do you believe what Trump did was necessary?
I do not believe what Trump did was necessary, especially with the intelligence that he received. I think we should have sat this one out. I mean, if Bibi was going to go with his move, let Bibi go with his move.
So you believe this is all due to Netanyahu?
Correct. I mean, of course, we had our own initiatives there. Trump tried to make something out of what was going on, but in the onset, yes, of course. Netanyahu said he was going to go with this move. He even came out, what was that, as of yesterday, and said, I didn't ask President Trump. I told him that we were going into Iran.
Let me ask you one of the more bigger ones. Now, you didn't vote in this election, but I'm going to ask you anyway. In your opinion, based on what you've seen so far, who won the 2020 election?
So the interesting thing about the 2020 election is I was incarcerated during the pandemic, so I didn't get to experience anything that you guys went through as regards to being shut down, J6, any of that. I was out of the way. But just from what I've looked around and seen, I do believe that the election went the right way. I believe Biden won.
So you would have, and I asked you if you could have been able to vote in this past election, you would have voted. You said you would have voted for Trump, but you're kind of admitting, then, based on what you're saying, you're kind of admitting that he tried to steal the election from Biden.
Yeah, no one's perfect. You know, no one's perfect. Yeah, real talk.
No one's perfect. Is a president trying to steal an election?
I do.
Go ahead.
No, what is that I would have voted for Trump, but I didn't have this information. At the time, I wasn't as deep into politics. So when I say no one's perfect, I'm not speaking of Trump. I'm speaking of myself.
So now that you feel like he likely tried to steal the 2020 election, let's take away what you know about his last 2 years' performance that you're not really happy with. Let's take that out. Let's say that didn't happen. With feeling that he stole the 2020 election, would that be enough to disqualify you from voting for him?
Yes.
Okay. But it took some time to get
that. They're doing it with Obama. Now they're trying. I mean, but at this point, it's like they're pointing fingers. Both sides are saying the election was stolen. So who do we believe?
What does the left say? I don't get it. What do you mean?
So as far as they're trying to say that Trump trying to say that the left stole the election, and now you got Ashley St. Clair and that Elon put the lights in there. You know, I mean, not the lights, but the lasers, and said he was hacking the machines. So now you have the same claim coming from the left.
Yeah, but you're comparing
messing with the 2024 election.
Yeah, but you're comparing the president of the United States to people that are much further down the line. I mean, every election, there's probably somebody out there that said it was stolen, but coming from the president of the United States that's a significant difference than some person, even if it's a congresswoman or something. That doesn't compare to the president saying it.
Correct. Maybe he genuinely believes it. Maybe he knows something we don't know. But I do believe that Biden won until I see something like some concrete evidence. Like, I'm just gonna go with Biden won.
I mean, he's been president now for almost 2 years. Plus, he was president for a couple months after he claimed it was stolen. If he's seen something, wouldn't you agree that he has a duty to present it? I mean, considering how much stuff went on. I mean, the January 6th people, a lot of them paid with time in prison. Some of their lives were fucked up behind that. If you got some evidence, present it. I mean, he should have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think in this, I don't think these people are moral. I don't think a lot of these people are moral. So a lot of things that should go on just don't go on. And we know they're not going to go on. So my stance is that these people are immoral. And I'm not just talking about the president of the United States. I'm saying Congress. I'm saying even as far as state representatives and local representatives, everybody's playing to win. Yeah. And we know that everybody's playing to win, and we act surprised that when we figure out they're playing to win.
Well, you also mentioned in regards to Epstein that you believe at the very least he's keeping, he's turning a blind eye to pedophilia. But let's get off of children and go to full-grown adults. Now, you had a jury that found him liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll. Do you believe that Trump likely violated a woman?
I can't say what the man did. I mean, if the court found him guilty, it was civil court. He paid out, $5 million? Got to go with what the court said, right? Isn't that what the American thing to do?
That's a great point, because all of a sudden when Trump came along, a lot of Americans who have been saying exactly what you're saying is we got a free and fair court, you got to go with the court ruling. They all of a sudden when it came to Trump, they don't want to go with that anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But yeah, Tim, I'm not gonna take up too much of your time. If you have any more questions for me, I will be glad to answer. I just wanted to build some rapport with you. I've caught your show a few times, and I like what you're doing, man.
Pleasure talking to you. Come on back anytime. You're a very straightforward guest. We'll certainly welcome you back anytime. Appreciate it, plug. Thank you.
No problem.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program. Indeed, the plug. Tap the screen, get us on up to 60,000. He ain't paid shit. He has been delayed, it says Black Knight. What are you talking about? Help you bar the hat, mustache, TikTok cap goes, if you will. Thank you very much for some of you folks showing us some love. We'll go to the honorable, knowledgeable, always intelligent, Smokey. Good evening, Smokey. Now, we're going to give you the floor. I'm sure you're going to enlighten us all intellectually, as you always do. What brought you up, Smokey? Good evening.
Good evening. Well, no, I appreciate you trying to actually have civil conversations with people to try to get to an actual solution.
That's the goal.
Where I find, like your question was, can we unite? Can America unite? And the answer will always be no, because we're not America. We can only unite.
Can the USA, I get it. Can the USA unite under Trump?
Trump isn't the problem, and I don't see Trump as the problem. The president doesn't have power. All structure is with Congress. So if we've got problems with healthcare and all that, that's all with Congress. They're the ones who are like laws to be passed about the food that we eat. So why can we have
but you would admit they're doing Trump's bidding right now. I mean, Trump is in control of Congress. For the most part, if Trump told Congress, look, we need the midterms, we need to put in a Republican in 2028. We need the love of the people. I am hereby demanding you guys put together a universal health care program. They would do it. So Trump is controlling Congress. I get what you're saying about Congress, but Congress is pretty much doing whatever Trump says right now.
Correct, but I still don't think they put in health, because healthcare isn't cheaper pharmaceuticals. Healthcare is food. Healthcare is air. Healthcare is the basics. Then you get to the pharmaceuticals. Before you even get to that, you go, why is a hospital ride 50 grand? Where's the price gouging? What should healthcare cost? So that's an audit of the system, and no one wants to do the hard work. It's all buzzwords.
But what I'm saying is everything you just mentioned. If Trump told Congress, I need you to write a bill or whatever the case, whatever we need to reduce the price of ambulance rides, what you're talking about. Put a federal limit on how much you can charge without some serious explanation. Pharmaceuticals, all the stuff you mentioned. If Trump told Congress, I need you guys to present something on my desk in 3 months that tackles all of these issues, that we can tweak them further, they would do that. They would actually do that.
But see, Trump thinks he can just write an executive order because he bypasses Congress, and Congress isn't doing their job and allowing Trump to do what he wants. But that's not just Trump. This is where everyone keeps forgetting. I'm not saying that Trump's good. I'm saying the system has been bad and we keep focusing on the wrong thing. That's always the problem we have. We create emotional arguments. That's where Trump is great. Democrats respond with, we're morally better, so you should be better than us. Trump was P3DO, SA, all these things. Cool story. None of that's impeachable. None of that disqualifies him from running for president. None of it.
But what about the claim he tried to steal an election?
That's a different conversation, but I take a step back again from that and I go, when if we had a free and fair election? Like if I asked you the voting amendments, why have we had to amend the vote 6 times in 103 years? Because they tried to gatekeep the privilege to vote. 14th Amendment, Section 2 was male inhabitants. 15th, right to vote can't be denied or abridged on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So why didn't black men, were they allowed to vote in 1870?
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying on that, but I'm saying that with Trump, you knew what the system was like going in. Just like with black folks not being able to vote. You're right, that's a game system because blacks can't vote, so how could that ever be a free and fair election? But everybody voted knowing at the time blacks could not vote. In Trump's case, people took the rules that were at play, even if the rules are unfair, they voted in the outcome. Trump tried to change the outcome of that election.
I mean, the system that we are currently operating under allows that gray area to be created, and it's been happening before, even with the Bush administration, which is why we don't have free and fair oversight over the system, because we allow states to violate the Constitution constantly, even with district voting.
I gotta disagree with you.
Post office.
I gotta disagree with some of that. The system does not allow Mike Pence not to certify elections. What Trump was trying to do, the system does not allow that.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the counting of the votes, how it's processed, who gets the mail, when does it arrive on time, all these different elements. Did they lose anything? There's no checks and balances on the system.
Yeah.
Yet, when it comes to taking away our rights to vote, like the previous gentleman lost his rights, they probably use some form of biometrics, a fingerprint, a photograph, DocuSign, something. And with that, he lost all of his rights. But we can't use that to remove them. That's a duality in law. So I like to ask a better question of the system, because we argue about the wrong things. Let's give the people the right to vote correctly. Let's give them oversight over politicians with a biometric voting option system, safer than anything currently. You could actually give feedback. You could actually sign a ballot.
I don't think. Well, I
have to stand out for 3 months to get a ballot initiative signed.
Yeah.
We have to have oversight over them.
Yeah,
they've got teams of hunters chasing us.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen, because this is where I'm going to point to the right. I don't think the right favors a large involvement from the population in politics. I think they do better with lesser participation. They don't want everybody using their phones to use fingerprint scanners and get involved in oversight and all. They don't want that. Now there's gonna be some Democrats that don't want it as well. But I do believe if you were to allow the citizens to vote via their phones, that would be something the Democrats would be in favor of and the right would be against.
No, Democrats would be against it also.
Why?
Because then most of them wouldn't be qualified either.
What do you mean?
Because not one Democrat, again, they're not structurally qualified.
I don't get what you're saying.
They might be qualified as in they're X amount of years a citizen and citizen of the United. This boils down to structure. If you're dealing with a contract of 7 articles and 27 amendments, and your oath is to the Constitution of the United States, March 4th, 1789, where people, person, and citizens have rights and privileges. Once America is 1776, gender, color rights.
You're saying if they were able to You're saying that if they were able to allow you to vote via phone with facial recognition software or some kind of fingerprint scanner, you're telling me the Democrats would be against that?
Correct.
I don't agree with that.
Here's how I can prove it. Democrats have always, the system has always been, we think it's Democrats or Republicans. It's a system because it's we the people, not them, the government. We the people, we control them. So all of this, they won't allow it. That's where we fail because we don't use our civic power correctly because we don't know it. And the reason I can say they've never honored rights is because we still argue for women's rights, black person rights, transgender rights. That's all other person going in front of 9 free persons to ask for permission. No. You see, 1868, the 14th Amendment gave you a person. Citizens get privileges and immunities, and they're known as the people. That's why the equation of Dred Scott is extraordinarily important. It was the only time the US courts have ever been asked, people, person, citizen. And they said, somebody who's a person, a black person, they cannot be a citizen, so they can't be the people. That's why we wrote the 14th Amendment. Instantly, corporations went and got their rights as a person with Paul versus Virginia in 1869. So why does a corporation get person rights? Then they were given people rights for a 4th Amendment and a First Amendment.
That's
but
crazy.
You still have to ask for permission.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the system has been skewed against the citizens because they get us arguing emotionally over labels while corporations take structural control of the document because we argue emotional feelings and don't know the document.
I don't know. So what are you? So you're suggesting what the solution is? Go after Congress?
Solution is to ask a clarifying question of the Supreme Court. Does it say all persons born will be given a label of color and gender, and based upon the label of color and gender, will that need to ask permissions from the Supreme Court? Or does it say all persons born will be given the same rights? Persons, just like a corporation.
That's some complicated
socially,
shit.
there are millions of corporate.
As opposed to asking the Supreme Court, this is where I would say just write a law that confirms it. So that way we don't leave it up to the Supreme Court to misinterpret that shit. Just getting an amendment passed is almost impossible. But
see, you don't want an amendment passed. See, that's the stopgap that prevents the not reparations but financial settlements. You see,
that ain't gonna happen anyway. That ain't gonna happen, Smokey. Reparations ain't gonna happen.
I didn't say reparations. I said financial settlements. For everyone who's been categorized into a subcategory and had their rights violated is a violation of 18 U.S.C. 241. It's also a violation of 18 U.S.C. 242. It's criminal. It's also a violation of your 7th Amendment.
Then when you make the amendment, drag that part over and make sure the verbiage says that if somebody's rights are violated, they still can have some kind of recourse.
It already does. It's called the 7th Amendment.
Right, but the rest of that shit,
we don't know the structure.
Yeah, but it's the other stuff that you're saying has to be questioned. So make sure there's clarity on that stuff, and then drag over the stuff that we already agree with.
The reason that you're asking a clarifying question to the court is to trap them. See, I'm not fighting Citizens United or women's rights or trans rights or Black Lives Matter or anything. I'm asking a question, and then based upon the outcome, action, reaction. By them admitting people, person, citizen, the Constitution is non-binary, it automatically resets all of those problems. So you don't fight one issue at a time, you fight the algorithm. See, they teach us that 2 + 2 = 3. America, women's rights, gender rights. Therefore, every equation afterwards is fucked up.
Yeah.
But then they use the Constitution as 2 + 2 = 4 for corporations. So what's the algorithm? Is it people, person, citizen? United States, or is it America, color and gender permissions, while corporations get people and person rights?
It definitely sounds like, based on what you're suggesting, the corporations have the upper hand.
Correct.
Yeah.
You could be in China right now, set up a corporation in Delaware, put $50 million into it, donate to $1 million to political groups in each state. You can have them pass laws. Now in some municipalities in Delaware, you can vote as that municipality. You can sue and be sued by people, and you have all rights as a person, and you can donate to politicians, and you don't even live in the US. You just incorporated. So they've given more rights to incorporated personhood, which is a living trust. When you pass on, your trust still operates because it's a living person.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Constitutionally and legally. This is the trick of the game. So we just need, this isn't left or right, and then we ask, where's our money?
That's more richer. That sounds more richer, poor.
It's them versus us.
Yeah.
If you're earning less than $500 a day, but you have the access to spend $46 million a day, that's what Congress get to spend. They spend $9 trillion a day. When you break it down, it's $46 million a day. Each one of them is responsible for spending. They make 175 grand a year, less than 500 a day. So if you're making less than 500 a day, but you can spend 46 million a day and you've got no oversight whatsoever, what you going to do?
You're going to get rich.
So who's the problem? Congress, because we don't know the system.
Yeah, that's when you. I guess when you look at it like that, I mean, to some degree though, when you factor in how much they can spend per day, they're not as rich as they should be. I mean, people talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene walking out with 25 mil and Nancy Pelosi, but I mean, Nancy Pelosi spent her whole adult life as a congressman. If she was like the Speaker of the House a lot, she should be richer.
Do you think that's the money they have? Did you not see the guy who's working for the CIA? How much money did he have in gold?
With the gold bars and all of that shit, his coat pockets and stuff.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Look how many tanks were found. Secondary market suddenly. Oh, hang on, there were bars of gold stashed in here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but all I know is we've got no oversight over them. And when it comes to things like the Epstein list, it's horrendous. But here's the solution. If hugs are bad, wouldn't we have a group like the DEA? Hug Enforcement Agency?
The problem is,
we set up the
how the hell do you...
Enforcement Agency?
But here's the problem. How the hell do you get oversight when the people who would be responsible for giving you oversight are doing it to themselves? Congress is not going to vote to hold themselves accountable.
So maybe this is where we need to start holding them accountable. You see, if you are invested in the company and the management say, fuck the shareholder agreement, no shareholder, and we're going to ask you for a daily cash call and end of the year cash call, and then your stock's going to be worth less than a year and you can't do anything about it, would you re-vote those people in?
No, probably not.
That's called Congress.
Yeah, I mean...
And they keep trying to point the blame to the president. It's never the president. It's always Congress.
I don't buy into the notion that the president is not responsible at all for what's going on. Any president. I do believe that Obama or Biden or Bush, I mean, because like the wars we've had, Bush with Iraq, I don't believe that was just, I'm going to blame that on President Bush. I'm going to blame the Iraq war on the Iran war on President Trump more than Congress. Even though you're right, Congress had the right or the ability to stop them and they didn't. But we're in Iran because of Trump, not because of Congress.
So on that point, let's take a step back and go. Clinton had a surplus in our deficit of $5.7 trillion. We were meant to be debt-free by the year 2012. He was shutting down military bases to make us a stronger military and a stronger economy, not a bloviated military. He was auditing the Pentagon, which Congress and all these companies don't like oversight. And then suddenly we had 9/11. And then Congress voted in the Patriot Act. They've got the War Power Act of 1973, which enabled Bush to do what he did. But the War Power Act is unconstitutional because you can't abdicate power and responsibility with an act. So Congress is the problem. The president should say, I can't use that act because an act can't amend the Constitution. My job is to uphold the laws. Congress, if you want to go to war, go to fucking war. Vote on it. It's not my fucking job. When you declare war, I'll be the commander in chief. Yes. We haven't had an adult, but the ultimate problem lies with Congress putting the levers in place for a corrupt person or an uneducated person to pull randomly.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and I see in the comments, Stevie D says Tim wants it to be Trump's fault so bad. Well, this will be the same as saying it was Biden or Obama's fault. I mean, what he is saying, no matter what you felt about Biden or Obama, it was Congress' fault then as well. You don't hear Trump blaming Congress that served under Obama or Biden. He's blaming Obama and Biden. So this is kind of what we've been taught to do.
Do you kick out the CEO if every department manager can't balance their budget? You don't blame the CEO, you look at the department heads. And so we have to look at who controls the budget. President doesn't control the budget. President doesn't write any laws. He upholds the law. His only power is the power to pardon. He can nominate representatives or justices, and they have to be approved by Senate. But we lost control of Senate with the 17th Amendment. Yeah. Why did they spend $9 trillion? Because they wrote the 16th Amendment. Yeah. So why are they allowed to spend $9 trillion of our money, not give us an oversight under Article Section 9, Clause 7, while states only get to spend $4 to $6 trillion a year, and there's 7,700 of them, 75 to 7,700. Well, 535 spent $9 trillion. 7,600 spend $6 trillion at a state level. Where's our money?
That's a question we may never know the answer to. I got to move it on, though, Smokey. Some of this we may never know the answer to, and we're not going to get the oversight because we can't make them be. It's going to be hard to make them be accountable for their own actions. That's a tough cookie to sell. I got to move it on. To Smokey. Go ahead.
All I'd say on that is vote in better people. You can't say it can't be done because then otherwise.
Yeah, but they become that you voted. We thought we were voting in better people with Trump. He's going to drain the swamp, and he brought his own money. He wasn't taking the salary. People tell you they're better until they get in there, Smokey.
Don't listen to what they say. Ask the structural questions like I do. And if they don't know the knowledge and we don't have the systems in place, of course you're going to hire people on feelings.
I'll leave it at that.
I appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much.
Absolutely appreciate it. Look, the goal, he's right. The goal should be to vote in better people. But the problem is the people lie. The people tell you they're going to do something and go one way, and then they go the other way. Every president, every congressman, every senator probably does that while they're campaigning. I mean, we can talk about Obama. You know, if you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor, which is one of the things he was using to sell the Universal Care Act. And once he got Affordable Care Act, well, once he got in there, we found out that was not true. I mean, we can go all the way back to George H.W. He ran on read my lips, no new taxes. Well, that didn't end up going that way that he campaigned on. And President Trump, of course, promised a host of things that have not come true. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a president make as many bad campaign promises as Trump. And I'm not talking about his first term. I'm talking about his second term. His second term, it's just been, almost everything he promised, he's done the opposite of. The no new war. I mean, just the fact that you campaigned on no new wars and then changed the Secretary of Defense to the Department of War. I mean, that just that makes it clear you didn't mean this shit at all. You went from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Like, it sounds like you definitely expect to go to war. And a lot of the stuff with Trump campaigning on no new wars, a lot of the involvement, the military involvement stuff he's doing is all optional. Greenland was optional. Cuba is optional. Syria, Nigeria, he bombed, he launched bombs in Nigeria talking about Christians were being persecuted. Getting involved in all kinds of optional military conflicts. I don't know. I don't know if I kind of disagree that only Congress is to blame, as my last caller was saying. But I do agree with him that Congress needs to be held to a higher level of accountability, though. Do you think the Democrats should unite with someone who calls them names and is trying to take away their right to vote? No. I think both parties is interested in taking away the right to vote of others, though. I mean, it's not like gerrymandering started with Trump or started with the Republicans. Democrats have done it too in the past. But the name calling and all that other stuff, yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Ellie, I think it says Ellie Aubrey, Trump to do the name calling. The photos of him shitting and Biden hog-tied in a trunk of a car. And there's no need for that. There is nothing about making America great again as a president do that. So yeah, I will agree that some of the stuff Trump is doing is just deliberately divisive. It doesn't help move the country forward in any way, fashion, or form. It's just literally making jokes at the expense of Democrats. So yeah, that's going to be very divisive. So yeah, that I can agree with. Tim, gas is still cheaper than Biden, just so you know, and Iran had to be handled as far as the department it used to be called the Department of War before it was called the Department of Defense. Slavery used to be legal too. You're going to go back to that? Why did he change the? I mean, how long has it been called the Department of Defense? What is the urgent need to go back to naming it the Department of War? What else in the past are you trying to go back to? I don't see that. What, the Gulf of America? Did it used to be called that also? I don't understand that stuff. And I don't understand why U.S. tax dollars need to be forked over to make that stuff happen. In regards to gas being still cheaper than it was under Biden, if Biden is the worst president we've ever had, suggests President Trump and many of MAGA, beating Biden shouldn't be the threshold. He promised a lot more than lowering gas prices just enough to beat Biden. He's on record saying your energy bill would be a half. It will be half of what you're paying in 12 months. He didn't say I'm just going to beat Biden. He said he's going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. I mean, he made some big ass campaign promises. Now all of it, well, but he's doing better than Biden. That ain't what he promised. He promised to do a whole lot more than doing better than Biden. I think that's kind of lowering the bar. Okay, well, he didn't do any of what he did beat Biden. That ain't what he promised. Dems dragged Trump's family. How? I don't know how Democrats dragged Trump's family. I don't think Obama's ever said anything about Trump's family. So I don't get that one. I don't know how they dragged his family. I mean, it could be some random Democrat. I mean, Melania Trump does have a nude pictorial. I'm sure plenty of Democrats said something about that. But I don't compare. If we're talking about President Trump name calling and saying all kinds of awful shit, and the response is, well, some dude in Chicago was saying all this shit bad about Trump. It's not on the same level. If the president is saying all kinds of awful shit, you need to be giving me people at that level that's saying awful shit in return, not just some random Democrat. Well, this person at a sports event said the same thing. That ain't the same. Danny Dan, appreciate the hat and mustache. I feel you folks are showing some love. Thank you very much, Danny Dan, and help your boy out with the hat and mustache. TikTok cap goes, if you will. Let's talk about gerrymandering, how to prove it's not racially motivated. I think the issue is, like many forms of racism, it can be difficult to prove it's happening at all. Because there's always you can do something that's racist in nature, and there's always an alternative reason you can give for doing it that may also be legitimate. So throughout history, you think about how many politicians, I mean, keep in mind, America, not only slavery, but Jim Crow and all of that shit, lasting most of America's history. How many politicians are on record saying, I don't like people of color? Or on record saying, yes, I'm a racist? Very, very few are going to be on record saying that. They were all denying it. Even in the middle of Jim Crow, in the middle of slavery, they were all denying it. So they were giving you other reasons for why they were doing what they were doing. It's as simple as that. You can be in favor of discrimination. I don't have a problem with them. They should work with their people and we work with ours. I don't have any problem with anybody black. I just think they should be on their side and we should be on. That's what they were saying. So you're never going to get them to come out and admit it. So you can always act in ways that are discriminatory or racist, but there's always an alternative secondary meaning for what you're doing that you can use to say you're not being racist. Like a good example, Trump called for a total and complete ban on all Muslims coming into America. Just anti-Muslim all of a sudden, all of them. Oh, but there are some of them that are terrorists. So as opposed to it coming out and saying, I don't like Muslim people. No, it's because there's a few who have committed acts of terrorism or I interpreted the Quran. You come up with an alternative reason for it. You'll never hear Trump say, I don't like Muslims. He'll never say that. So you can be discriminatory or you can be racist or sexist or homophobic in nature without saying it. You're not going to hear anybody on the right come out and say, anybody of prominence at least, come out and say, I don't like trans or I hate these people. They're not going to say that. Look, I'm okay with them doing whatever they want to do. Just don't have it around children. That's what they're going to tell you. But then when trans come around, adults, they're going to have a problem with that too. Well, I don't want it on my beer, or I don't believe it should be sold in store. I mean, no matter where they show up, they're going to have a problem with them showing up. I don't want it in my movies. I don't want it on my adult beverages. I don't want it sold in Target. I don't want it in libraries. Wherever they show up, they're going to have a problem with them. But they're going to simultaneously tell you, I don't hate them. You can live your true self. Looking in the comments, focus on what's happening now, not what was. Being stuck in the past will get you nowhere. Sassy Mo, that's kind of how we live in America. Every September 11th, never forget. I mean, we always focus on what happened in the past. In fact, the notion that we should not focus on what happened in the past, I think that would go away completely if you didn't have any black people in this country. Take the black experience of this country away, and I don't think you would have anybody complaining about people talking about what happened in the past anymore. It's just we don't want to hear about the black experience. That's kind of what it really is. Anytime you hear somebody saying, get over, you guys need to get over what happened in the past, it's somebody talking to a black person. Meanwhile, everybody else is celebrating their heritage in good or bad. Everybody else in the country does that too. And if you hear somebody saying, we need to stop talking about what happened in the past, there's a black person in that conversation. It's guaranteed there is a black person in that conversation. Even though every other group of people in America talk about what happened in their past, good or bad, it comes up. So I don't know how else to look at it. Blacks do need to get over it, says Save America 8416. I don't think you guys want blacks to get over it. You wouldn't wave around the Confederate flag and put up statues of the people who were abusing the blacks if you wanted them to get over it. How can you tell them to get over a period in history that you're literally celebrating and honoring? You don't want them to get over it. You just want them kind of really to shut the fuck up. I never said stop talking about it. It says no white person can say white pride, just saying. Yeah, you can. You can say it. You can say the N-word if you want. You can say anything you want. To me, look, white pride, said by a white person, you generally do not hear people saying that phrase unless they're associated with hate. There are plenty of people who are saying black excellence or, black, positive thing. What did they say? Black girl power and all this stuff. Yeah, but these are not coming from groups of people that are walking down the street yelling out hate slogans and shit like that. Let me see NSYNC with Justin Timberlake talking about white pride or something. Let me see it being done in a positive manner. And then I don't think it would matter. But the overwhelming history behind people yelling white power has been negative. So yeah, every time you hear it, you're gonna think negative. It's like hearing Muslims talking about a jihad. You don't expect anything positive from that. I mean, so that's why it is. But you can say whatever you want. Evil says, hey Tim, it is too late to give you an intro. Let me know because you're the man with the plan. You're the man who knows everything. I don't know shit according to my audience though, but thank you, Evil. People act like Barack Obama isn't the first mixed president. Instead, they call him black. How do you feel about that? I don't, look, I think the same folks who often tell us race don't matter pick and choose when they want to make race matter. If Obama's probably not the first mixed president, chances are all of them been mixed with something. You don't have a lot of pure-blooded people in America. I mean, they probably all been mixed with something. But Obama grew up as a black person, unlike whoever else you're referring to. Obama grew up as a black person. Grew up just like a black person in every stretch of the imagination. So grew up in a black neighborhood, grew up with a driver's license, I'm sure that said black on it. A little bit different with Obama than whoever else you're talking about. We don't need to get over it. Why the Jewish people don't, the Asian people don't, so why not? Yeah, look, the Japanese got reparations in this country. So did the Native Americans. They got reparations of sorts. I mean, they have gotten a little something for the awful shit that happened to them. I don't know. I don't understand why it is when African Americans talk about what happened to them, it's so unpopular. I just do not know. Well, respect Will respect the blacks past give black just respect? Okay. Let me go back to the box, tap the screen. A lot of lazy thumbs in. We should have been 80, 90,000 by now. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. Wow, the hat mustache, TikTok cap goes. Can I start a new TV broadcast channel called... Yeah, this one happens a lot. Hang on a second, Gangsta Grandma. WET, White Entertainment Television, without any flack. No, but I'll tell you it is. You don't need to have a channel called White Entertainment Television. All of them are. It's like having a television and asking, why don't my television set say color TV set like it used to in the 70s and 80s? Because they all are color. They don't put color TV on the television anymore. It's assumed that that just is what it is. All of the television networks are overwhelmingly majority white. So why would you need your own network? Gangsta, good evening. Gangsta Grandma, are you there?
With your ratty raccoon. Well, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, ma'am.
Look at you with your ratty raccoon. Look at your ratty raccoon.
What the hell am I doing this time?
Say the Democrats want to gerrymander. We have bills that we wanted to stop the gerrymandering, but no, the Republicans voted it down. So yes, we're going to gerrymander back. Yes, we are.
That ain't what I was talking about. That ain't what I was talking about.
If they want to gerrymander, we're going to gerrymander.
That ain't what I was talking about.
That's what you was
no,
talking about.
Well, let me clear it up.
Quit saying black.
That ain't.
Hold
on.
People in the comments saying blacks.
Hang on a second. First of all, when I said gerrymandering did not start with Trump or it ain't just Republicans, I'm saying throughout history, Democrats have gerrymandered districts as well. This is not something new.
I said what the fuck I said.
And I did too.
Bills in the House and the Senate. So stop with your damn cake and ass. Stop with that cock up down your throat, tickling your tonsils. I am so sick of your ugly ass. And then you had a black maggot up here. Well, I would have voted for him.
He wasn't MAGA.
You're a convicted felon.
He was not MAGA.
Yes, he was. Oh, yes, he was. I would have voted for him, but I was incarcerated. Yeah, convicted felon, voting for a convicted felon. Way to go, black maggots. You know what I mean? I mean, you want a fucking cookie? God, some of our black men make me sick.
There are reasons. There are absolutely reasons for black men to vote for Trump. I've said that every time. There are reasons it makes.
For what? Oh, for real?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Hold up. Let me check my oxys. Nothing to knock the fuck out your ass. Let me check. There's a reason for a black man to vote for a triple K mofo that don't give two fucks about us, that said that Africa was a shithole, that black people are just like Chicago was the scum of the earth, and that we live in a ghetto and every damn thing else. Excuse me?
Yeah. First of all, I'm talking about it. I'm talking about in 2024. First of all, there was a reason. There were reasons for the last election Trump was in. There were plenty of reasons why I would understand why a black person voted for Trump.
What, a PPE loan? You thought that fucking white man was gonna give it to you?
Well,
no, my Negroes. No. It was the Democrats that did that, you stupid Riris. I shit you not. That's why our education system really fails our brothers and sisters. I mean, come on now. It was the Democrats that gave us the money. It had nothing to do with Trump.
Well, before we continue, in the comments, Evo says, the difference in between Obama and ignoramus Trump, Obama can get people's attention and draw in. Trump gives a speech and he's going to shit his pants for you. What? I don't believe Trump is shitting his pants. I don't know if he's actually doing that.
He does. He does. He look at him. He's God. I need a couple of Big Macs to get into his house. You know what I mean? And just take his ass out for the love of God. What? He didn't even want to pass the housing today.
Well, he says
he doesn't want us to vote.
Right. He's saying he's not passing the Housing Act because he said the Save America Act is a national emergency. Today's housing news conference.
Hold on.
Let me give it to the audience. Let me give it to. Let me give it to the audience, and I'll let you. Hold on, hang on. Let me give it to the audience. Today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed Save America Act, which I consider to be a national emergency. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So he's saying, do this and then I'll give you your housing act.
And it's not going to pass, Tim. They don't got the votes.
True.
They don't have the votes.
That is true.
They want us to stop. They want us not to vote. They want to make everything about now. But why do you think that is? Why do you think the white man is so up in ours? They said our voting isn't like, you know what I mean? Isn't, oh, we shouldn't vote. It don't count. Yes, it does vote. Yes, it does. Because why is he having a bill? The voting. Why are they gerrymandering the shit out of black communities? Why is that, Tim?
Well, first of all,
backfire, Tim.
to answer your
All
question,
backfire.
I don't believe it's whites not wanting blacks to vote. And Kel Bruce says, just so you know, we definitely have white entertainment television. It's called Fox News. He said Fox News is WET. They don't want black. It ain't about whites not wanting blacks to vote. That is a Trump. That is a Trump issue-ish thing. That ain't what white people were doing. That's Trump doing this. So I don't blame what Trump is doing on all white people.
They voted for this shit. All this shit that's happening was in Project 2025. They didn't want to listen to black women. Black women stood on. Black women was out here yelling. Look, Project 2025. Look at they doing. Look what they're doing. You know what the white man said? And some of the black little maggots said? Oh, that's not true. Nothing is true about that. Even the little maggot that's in office. Oh, I don't believe nothing of that. I never seen that. Then when he got elected, oh, I seen that. Come on now, Tim.
How about this? Because Smokey is in the comments talking about voting amendments. He's saying that everybody is too emotional and thinking it's politics. He suggested that maybe you need to turn down the emotion a little bit.
I think Smokey needs to shut the fuck up and stay in his white lane. How about that?
Why does his skin color matter?
Because let me tell you, it's always the white people telling us what we need to fucking do. It's always the white man saying, well, you need to rumbly. Shut your ass up and go do something then. Use your white privilege to do something. And quit telling black women to shut the fuck up. How about that? Get the cock out your mouth. I'm so sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of the white man telling us what we need to do. And when we're out there fighting, we get the pepper spray and shit. And you know what? When the white man does the shit, they get slapped on the wrist and get what did they get on January 6th? Get slapped on the wrist? Get the fuck out of here. I'm so sick of white people. Not all white people, but shit like that. What that damn said? Well, it's rambling. You don't shut the fuck up.
The man is just trying to help, gangster.
You know what he can do? Shut the fuck up and use his white privilege and go fight for us? How about that? I guarantee you won't do that, though.
You do know a lot of folks suggest that white privilege does not exist.
There's a lot of white privilege. There's a lot. You know if Obama did the exact same shit that this white tea man did in office, the exact same shit he'd be underneath the damn girl, they would try to get him out and everything else. Shut the fuck about white privilege.
Maybe that ain't white privilege. That might just be Trump. That might be Trump privilege. Trump privilege.
Go to the mirror, because you're a rowdy raccoon. Go to the mirror, and I know you're looking white. I'm telling you, you're white as shit.
I couldn't be.
You're white as shit, and I can't stand this shit no more.
I'm just not as hardcore as you are, gangster.
Because I'm potty. You know what, Tim? Man, let me break this shit down. I'm so sick of white people saying, don't be quiet, you go do this, go do that. No, make me, bitch. Make me. I wish the bitch would.
Why so hostile?
You know what I mean? I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of people saying that shit, Tim.
No, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Know what I mean? Entitled to their opinion, right?
And I'm tired of mine, and I put the white man in his place.
Wait, did you just say put the in its place? What the fuck? Did somebody just put toilet paper on my face? What are you trying to say? I'm full of shit. What was that? I've never seen that. Okay, first of all, The notion.
Wipe off the uncooked protein, Tim. The uncooked protein. Wipe it off.
Okay, first of all, I just think you got.
I can't. You know what, Tim? I'm not like you, Tim. I'm not like you. I'm not a cupcake with the white tea man that wants to put us underneath the damn system. I'm sick of it. They're taking everything from us, Tim. They don't want black and brown people here. You know what? You over here saying that they don't want to talk about black people thing. That you never hear them talking about the history of the Mexicans, though. It's always been black and Mexicans. They always want to lie about the black and Mexicans. Mexicans had it hard too here. Don't ever get that shit twisted. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of the white tea man trying to hide shit and every damn thing else. Now he doesn't want to pass the housing experience and help people get housing because of what? Trying to get us.
Okay, well let me run this by you. I want to get your take on this. Coming from Ruben Rubino.
Yes, they do.
Ruben says if white privilege exists, then there would not be so many success stories within my black brothers. We more successful now, more than ever. But I understand gangsta is watching too much lefty television. What say you?
And that's a fucking ratty raccoon have a dick up his ass too. A white cock say, yes, master. Yes, master. Get the whips and chains. Yes, master. I'm a house Negro. Go get the sheets for me. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of here.
Is he not right though when he suggested Wait a minute, hold on. Let me frame it. Is he not right when he says that there are more African American males, or as he said, my brothers and sisters succeeding now than ever? That's not accurate.
Do you realize? Do you fucking realize it takes hell to get us there though? It takes hell. My daughter, it took hell just to get to Stanford. She had to go through so much. My kids had to go through so much to get to Stanford. But if it was a white tea kid, you know what I mean, with money, come on now, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. See, it's the ratty raccoons that always say, you know what? They're the house ninjas. Go get the whips and shit,
Listen,
yes, master.
I'm going to admit that some of the shit from yesteryear still exists, but I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as you're trying to indicate.
Redlining still exists. What the fuck are you talking about? All kinds of shit still exists. They just don't show it out in front. And guess who's in the damn White House right now? Everything's being taken from us. Books. You can't even. They take it out of school.
Let me ask you a question I've asked folks before. What is it that you as a black woman cannot do that a white woman can? What's stopping you from succeeding?
What's stopping me from succeeding?
What can a white woman do that you cannot?
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Go have an abortion. Go have an abortion.
What?
Yeah. The ABs are meant for them. They're taking it away from all of us.
You're telling me. You're telling me. Wait a minute.
Spreading her legs and having more things. Shut the fuck up.
You're telling me in 20.
You know what? It's harder right now.
You're telling me Wait, hold on. You're telling me.
To open a business.
You're telling me in 2026, only white women can terminate their pregnancies as of now.
Actually, probably so, but you know what? The abortion ban because of them. The abortion ban was because of them. Do you really think that they give a fuck about our black?
I'm asking you. You're not answering it. You still haven't answered the question. What is it?
No.
What can a white woman do that you can't do? You haven't answered the question. What can a white woman do that you as a black woman cannot?
Okay, for one, I can tell you this. I just experienced it. Having a damn business. It's harder for us to open a business than it is a white person to open a business. You know why? We have to go through more red tape. Under Biden, we didn't have to go through that whole red tape. Under this right now, I have to go through more red tape. He took all that shit from us.
There are millions of African Americans that have businesses.
Don't tell me. You know what? I have 3 businesses, right? I got offered to open another dispensary, right? On the other side of by my restaurant, right? You know what they told me? I gotta go through so much more shit. But under Biden, I opened 2 dispensaries. You know how many months it took me to open them? 6 months.
So what you're saying is you actually can do it. It's just some red tape. I said, what is it that you cannot do that a white woman can?
Oh my God, Tim.
I'm asking.
You're white as fucking hell, you dumb. You're white as fucking hell. I swear to God. I don't even know if I can fuck with you anymore. It's the red tape, you dumb nut. That is our skin. What is on our birth certificates? What's in there? Our thing. We have to prove more shit than the white man do. What the fuck are you talking about, Tim? That's why you're fucking white. That's why I call you a fucking ratty raccoon. That's why I call you out your fucking name. That's why I you know what? I promise you on God, you voted for this fucking man. But you're too much of a goddamn fucking coward to say that you voted for this man, because I would terrorize your fucking sorry ass.
That doesn't sound
You
nice.
numbnut.
Okay, I asked you a simple question. What can No, you did not. You still ain't. I asked you, what can a white woman do that you can't? You said you can't. You said open up a business, and then you proceeded to say, well, I got 3 of them already.
That wasn't because of. Okay, for the love of fucking God, I opened my first business under Obama, you numbnut. I opened my last 2 businesses under Biden, you numbnut. I never opened a business under Trump because he puts more shit on it. He-Man does it. It's easier for them to do it.
In other words,
man, you need to go.
So what you're telling me is it's just started under Trump then.
I swear to God, I'm not gonna fall for this shit. I gotta be quiet.
All right.
I gotta be quiet.
I'll move on. I'll leave it at that.
Because you know what, Jim? You are the most ratty fucking raccoon I ever did see. You're like bent over, yes, master. I could shove an 8-inch dick inside of you, and you probably fucking like it because you love the white cock up and tripping up on your ass.
What the hell is that?
A white man can shit on you and tell you it's fucking your fucking type of tea. You know what I mean? Because you truly are a fucking raccoon. I am telling you, it is a lot easier for the white man to do a lot more shit than it is for black and brown people, especially black fucking women. It is harder. It's harder to get into schools. It's harder like that, Tim. What the fuck are you talking about? They took everything. Like DEI, they thought the white.
So they took Gangsta Grandma off the program. You know, we don't block men or censor. She was talking and they dropped her. It is what it is. Like I said, she made the comment that, you know, there are things that whites can do that blacks can't. And I asked her, and you know, and look, we've had this talk. I've had this talk with Stick and many others on the program. And here's my analysis on it. Do I think the system is 100% equal? Treat blacks and whites and everybody else the same way? Fuck, no, I do not. No, I do not. But do I believe there are things that white people are guaranteed to be able to do and blacks are not? No, I do not. I believe there are, on average, more hurdles to success for African Americans than there are for whites, on average. But I believe there are plenty of blacks who have reached the level of success without the hurdles. I don't think anything is absolute where every white person is going to have an easy path to success and every black person is going to encounter hurdles. I believe that there's all sorts of things in the middle of it. And I also have stated that it changes depending on your level of success you're seeking. In other words, if your goal is just to achieve the American dream, decent job, a decent car and a home, I don't think there's anything preventing you from getting there as a black man. Now, I don't think there's anything. Now, to me, I believe all of the biggest amount of hurdles come in is if you're living at the bottom of the socioeconomic end of the scale, or if you're living at the top. The middle is where I think you're pretty much okay as an African American to achieve the American dream. It's the bottom where if you're black and you're going around loitering and panhandling, trying to hustle to get by, yeah, you're probably going to face more encounters with police, getting loitering tickets and shit than a poor white person begging and asking for help. Yeah, I do, but businesses calling the cops on you when you're just looking in the garbage can. People at the bottom. I believe homeless African Americans probably face more hurdles than homeless white people. And of course, if you're trying to reach the top, You want to be a CEO, you want to be president, you want to be the mayor. I believe it's probably more hurdles there as well. But if you're just in the middle, I want to have a nice car, a decent union job, and a home, I don't think there's a lot stopping an African American from achieving that. My take. That's my take. Like I said, when I say the top, schools in black neighborhoods are not as good as they are in white neighborhoods. And oftentimes to reach the top, your level of education means something. But if you're just trying to reach the middle, you can go to community college, you can go to public school in any hood and community college and reach that. And I don't think that's, you want to be a bus driver, garbage man, which are good paying union jobs, by the way. You want to be a plumber or welder. I don't think there's much stopping that. I don't think there's much stopping that as an African American. So I do believe there are areas where it's better to be white than it is to be black, for certain. Criminal justice system is certainly one of them. If you get in trouble, if you commit a crime, I think you're better off being white than you are being black. Just like I believe you're better off being a woman than you are being a man. You're better off being rich than you are being poor. Yeah, the criminal justice system does treat different classes of people better and worse. I think if you commit a major felony as a woman, you're more likely to get kid gloves and lesser treatment than you are as a man. That's why you don't see a lot of women on death row, even though women murder people and shit too. You don't see a lot of them on death row. They treat them better. I've worked in many states and my heart belongs to the South. Okay. That's why so many white pedophiles are released, says John. Yeah, like I said, the system, when you talk about the criminal justice system, I absolutely think you're better off being white. I'm not going to deny that. 1.5 million whites enslaved, USA had 4% of the African slave trade. The 1.5 million whites enslaved is false. Snuffles TV. You're confusing indentured servants with slaves. As I mentioned when we had this conversation before, a slave owner holding up a newborn baby and saying, I own this until it dies, that is something that only happened to black people in America. There was nobody that could force two white people to mate and then take the offspring and say, I own this now. That did not happen to white people, nowhere in America. So you're confusing an indentured servant with a slave. Being a slave was, if you could take slaves and make them into indentured servants, they would thank you for the promotion. It was significant. You had a light at the end of the tunnel being an indentured servant. I haven't heard of a lot of indentured servants being hung or mutilated. I haven't heard about that. What do you think, the white community just kept it quiet? All of this atrocious history for white people, and they just decided not to tell you about that, huh? Because it wasn't happening. How many black people can afford to pay Trump for a pardon? It's a great question. Not many. White people are proud to be colonialism and imperialism. Not all of them. Not all of them. In fact, even during the era of slavery, there were plenty of whites that thought that was wrong. Keep in mind, they were reading from the same Bible we read from today. So, and I still have a hard time understanding how anybody could have been reading from the same Bible we read from today and thinking all that shit they were doing back then to those people was right. And I'm not just talking slavery, I'm talking throughout the Jim Crow era as well. You really think what you're doing to these people, and you're going to church every Sunday, you really think the God you're worshiping is okay with all this shit? It never made sense to me. Travelman, good evening, welcome to the program. What does this say? You are the product of your choices in life. Sometimes. You think the Iranians are the product of their choices in life? Sometimes bad shit can find you. Travelman, if it brings them up. Tim, stop talking about the Bible. That was in the past. MAGA logic. Real talk, I like that. That is a good one. Yeah, you're right. The Bible was in the past. That's a good point. You know, you want to tell people to get over the past and tell Christians, get over it. It was in the past. Kind of reminds me of, remember the movie The Lion King, where he, what was the song? Not Hakuna Matata, the one where they tell you to just get over it. It's in the past. He smack you upside the head. It's in the past. He says, the country will never unite again as long as our politicians keep creating division. I think that's true. I absolutely think that's true. And I will say certainly to the level that we're dealing with now. I mean, you could argue that things were divisive under Bush, but look, when Bush stood on the rubble of the World Trade Center and said, to those firemen, I hear you, and the people that knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon. That was some unifying shit. I haven't heard anything from the Trump administration that's been very unifying. I mean, yeah, I think Obama made a speech about I'm not just a president of Democrats. He was trying to reach out to Republicans as well. I think Trump came on the scene being the president before him all the time. So Trump never was unifying. He was divisive even as a citizen. When he came down the golden escalator in 2015, he had already been trashing Obama for years. And then, of course, after he served a full term, when he was just a citizen between 2020 and 2024, he was just divisive everywhere. Never stopped holding rallies, never stopped criticizing the Biden administration and every Democrat in sight. I don't think anybody has been to the level that has presented the level of division to the level of Trump. I don't think anybody's ever come close to that. And I don't know if you'll see that again in our lifetime. Clinton is the first USA president to unite this country, says Chris. I would say Abraham Lincoln. He ended the Civil War and kept the country together. That's unity. Maybe some people didn't like how he done it. That's the reason the Confederate South was not held accountable. Just let it be for the sake of maintaining unity of the country. I would say it probably started with Abraham Lincoln. Or even George Washington could probably be brought in there because he's what the country was founded off of. It is a predominantly white country, and whites created the whole system that you benefit from. They should get most of the benefit since they pay 90% of the taxes. That ain't racist at all, huh? Let me tackle that. It is a predominantly white country, but they're not 90% of the country, Aaron. White people don't represent 90% of the country. You say whites created the whole system that you benefit from. No, that is absolutely not true. The system that other races benefit from was created by their ancestors that paid in blood. The white people that created the system that you're suggesting that we benefit from never meant for us to benefit. People had to die for that to be added on. So you're trying to give credit to people that didn't do what you're saying they did. George Washington and the founding fathers, they didn't create a system that was meant for blacks to benefit. A lot of people had to lose their lives to get to that point, fighting with people that came along after the original creators of the system to get that. So you're totally wrong on that. If you can show me where Thomas Jefferson and he had slaves he was sleeping with. If you can show me where they were all trying to make sure everybody benefited, then I can give you credit for that. But that's not the case. Why didn't Obama give the anti-black hate crime? Why didn't Obama give the anti-black hate crime bill? I don't know what you mean by that. Give. Nope, Egypt had slaves. Had slaves. Who created? I don't. What happened in Egypt and what happened in Israel is irrelevant. Did we talk about the fact that the Middle East faced terror on September 11th? No, we talk about what happened here. I don't know why when we talk about slavery, we start talking about what happened in other countries. We don't do it on anything else. Black people would be speaking Spanish if it were not for white people. Shit, they might be better off though. You never know. I mean, it ain't like the white people came along, taught them English, and treated them with respect. As I just pointed out, they had to die to get that. So yeah, you taught them English so they would understand when you told them to pick the crops and shit. You didn't teach them English out of love or concern for their knowledge because you prevented them from even reading the book. You taught them English so they would understand the orders you were barking at them. Like, to me, a 12-year-old. That's what you were teaching them English for. You really trying to take credit for that? Really? Taught them English. Put it this way. A nation is a man's slave owners. He or she won't be really free unless they dismiss his or her oppressor. That's deep. I don't disagree with all of that. 300,000 white soldiers died fighting for the North to end Civil War. So that is true. I agree with that, that there's plenty of allies to both the ending of slavery proclamation and the Civil Rights Act. There was a lot of whites that died fighting on behalf of Martin Luther King as well. I do agree that those folks who are allies don't get enough credit. I do agree with that part. I do agree with that. That absolutely is true. Bernie Sanders, as old as he is, he's somebody who served time in jail fighting on behalf of African Americans getting civil rights. So, you ever seen the movie Mississippi Burning? Gene Hackman and I forgot who else is in that, but Mississippi Burning is a good example of the people that trying to find that were murdered. Two of them were white people that went down to the South and ended up getting killed by the Klan. So yeah, there's N-word lovers is what they call them. There's plenty of white people. I'll tell you, that still exists to this day. That part, they talk about what all this shit is in the past, get over it. The treatment of N-word lovers, white people that side with black causes, that still exists to this day. I'll give you many examples. What is his name? Not Daniel Penny. Daniel Perry, I think is his name. He's a white guy that was pardoned by Texas Governor Greg Abbott for shooting a BLM protester. The BLM protester was white. But because he's on behalf of BLM, the right don't like him. Same thing with Daniel Penny and Renee Nicole Good in Minnesota. The right don't like them either because they're fighting on behalf of minority causes. They were quick to say bad things about Daniel Penny, or better yet, Nicole, what is her name? Nicole Good or whatever in Minnesota, and I'm mixing their names up, but the other white guy that kicked the back of the car there in Minnesota and they shot him all those times. Same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse. The people that he took out were all white, but they were there on behalf of African-American causes. If you are white and you're fighting on behalf of African-American causes, the right view you just like the African-American. They're not going to have any sympathy for anything that happens to you. And I'm giving you plenty of examples of that. There's plenty of examples of white people out there protesting or marching alongside African-Americans. And when something happened to them, the folks that don't like the African-Americans did not give a shit about them either. That is the modern version of an N-word lover. That still exists. That still exists to this day. If you're out there protesting on behalf of minority causes, the folks that are against those causes ain't gonna give a shit about you as a white person either. As far as they're concerned, you deserve what you had coming as well. Looking in the comments, no, I don't think Snuffles, I don't think Kyle Rittenhouse is racist at all. But I think the anti-BLM folks are. I think plenty of the anti-BLM folks are. And because Kyle Rittenhouse was out there acting in a manner that was anti-BLM, I don't think what Kyle Rittenhouse did was racist at all. I think Kyle Rittenhouse committed an act of self-defense. They were trying to take him out. They absolutely were. But what he did was dumb and stupid, and you've seen who came to his rescue. A whole bunch of right-leaning people. I mean, you can kind of see what's going on with that. Pay the black people will happen. True. I don't believe that reparations is going to stop this question. I do not believe that. I believe that reparations, there's a case to be made for it, but I don't believe if you give reparations for the sins of the past, it's going to stop African Americans from talking about this shit. Two reasons. First, some people are just going to continue talking about it because it did happen. Second reason is all of that ain't ended. I don't agree with the notion that everything that happened in the past is all gone and we're totally fine. No, there's still a lot of tentacles of what happened in the past that are still taking place today. So, I don't think reparations will stop the conversation from happening. Not to mention, I would add a third bullet point by simply saying there's too much in regards to the atrocities that took place in the past that still have yet to be told, that still have yet to be discovered. There are bodies in fucking mass graves and shit, still places in this country, unmarked graves and all of that's still out there. There's still plenty of stuff, plenty of horrible stories of what happened in the past that we have not yet discovered. They were hiding this stuff all over a country the size of America. So there are plenty of atrocities that still are yet to be discovered. So I don't know how you can not talk about it when it's a story that is not complete. I mean, people still don't know their fucking heritage. People still, I mean, when you talk about the white side of the aisle, many of them can trace their heritage all the way back to Europe, in Germany, France, or England. The black side of the aisle, I can go back to my great-grandmother. After that, you're into slavery and the names are all over the place. I mean, you just don't know. So there's a lot of stories that are incomplete. So I don't think there's a way where you're going to guarantee people are not going to talk about it, because it's an incomplete story. Looking in the comments, by the way, help your boy out with the hat, mustache, TikTok cap goes, if you will. It's their ancestors. What you mean it doesn't affect them? Yeah. They don't want it to affect them, but it does. How much should Black Americans get each? Cash me out, says Michael Johnson. I don't think it should be money. I think it should be the shit they prevented them from getting: education, property, and businesses. So if you want to get an education, that should be, you could make that free, or you could make it exceptionally cheap, cheaper than everybody else that wasn't prevented from getting an education. Same thing with a business and property. Maybe you forgive some taxes or some, you open up a business. We're not going to charge you a business permit or whatever the cost of it. We're not going to charge you to operate a business in this state for the next 10, 15 years. Whoa, appreciate that. Alter ego. Peak. Why would you use peak though? Thank you. So, I mean, no. So what I'm saying is you're doing things for the African-American community that anybody who takes those things is obviously trying to better themselves. It's not like somebody's taking a bunch of money and buying some rims for their car or some Jordans or something. You're giving them an education, a business, or if they want to purchase property. I think reparations can be done in that from that aspect, because those are three things they prevented African Americans from getting: in education, property, and businesses. Going back to the box, we'll go to real talk. Lincoln was, but it was also, I don't get that. Real talk, good evening.
Hey, good evening, sir. How you doing?
I don't know, because somebody telling me Clarence Thomas must be my daddy.
You know, I'm with you, sir, but sometime now.
Oh, come on. Come on. I ain't that far gone. Shit.
I was watching you talk to Mike the other day. I forgot what time we're talking about, but man, I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't sure if I was listening to Marvin Gaines or I was a Tatum.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike is a big fan. I mean, not a big fan, but he is more further to the left on some of the racial issues than I am. Like Carmelo Anthony. He believed Carmelo Anthony should have been a free man. I don't buy into that. I don't believe Carmelo Anthony should be free.
You know, so like when you talk about racism, like black folks can be racist too, right? I think the problem is, this is my own personal opinion, I think the problem is that it seems like you be talking solely based on the definition, or whatever the case may be, like that, what the definition of racism is. And, you know, maybe if that's what it is, then maybe that's probably what you
Let me say it like this. If something happens to an African American and the black community is calling that racist what happened to them, if that same thing happens to a white person, it's racist. I don't see how you can do the same thing.
Go ahead. That too, I can feel you, because what's good for the goose, I believe what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
That's the point of it.
But like when they be like, what I think what they be talking about is like, you know, like I say, like based on what the definition of racism is. Now, I don't know for sure though, but that's what I get from when y'all be talking about it based on the definition. So that's how I would view it, based on the definition. But like inherently, I would say no. But you know,
I don't know why, because you guys the way you guys make it sound like, or not you, but Mike and some of them, they make it sound like the only way you can be racist is you got to control all the way up to the federal government. If you don't maintain the power of the federal government, you can't be racist, and I don't believe that.
I mean, but everybody's entitled for what they believe, and that's what makes all of us great. Or whatever. We think differently, and we come together with our different views and make a better view. Or not like that. So I can't knock nobody for how they feel, just like I expect nobody to knock me for how I feel. or whatever the case would be like that. But the reason why I had said that, and I said that part now, I ride with the Lord, don't get me wrong. But the reason why I said that part about like the Bible's in the past, you need to let that go or to leave that alone because it's always like what I also hear you and others talk about too. Like when black folks talk about what they did, what they went through, and how they could still be suffering, it's always stop talking about that or whatnot. Now I bring it back to when those statues was being tore down. I remember a lot of people saying that, no, we need to leave the statues up so we don't forget the things that was wrong and that we don't repeat the same thing. Now, those same people who be telling that don't be talking about, hey, let them talk about what went on in slavery so we don't forget and we don't repeat the same thing. So, if those people who talked about those statues and things of that nature show that same concern or that same understanding for when the people of color are talking about what their ancestors went through or their hardships, then maybe we probably can get away from it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Many of the same folks, the point you're making, I agree with that. Many of the same folks saying blacks need to get over their history is defending the history of the people that were doing it to them. If you're in favor of Confederate statues and monuments remaining, then you should be in favor of the people that they were oppressing being discussed as well. Because in the comments, Snuffles is saying it was a teachable moment. No, it's not. He said the statues were a teachable moment in historic. If you go to any Confederate statue, there's just a plaque at the base of it. Tells you about the person, Stonewall Jackson, General Lee, you name it. It doesn't tell you, it's like it would be like a statue of Hitler telling you, hold on, it would be like a statue of Hitler telling you he invented the Volkswagen. All of the negative shit about that guy ain't on that plaque. It's not historic, it's omissive. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to go to next. And I'm glad that person said that it leads you to that. Because I was going to say that, okay, if you want to leave the statues up and you want that to be a reminder, then also when y'all say the top things about all the good about this person, at the bottom part in the fine print, put all the atrocities that they committed.
Right. Yeah. If the statue is going to be right, if the statue is going to be a teachable moment, tell exactly what they were fighting for. If they own it, put the truth in there, not just some. Because, like in the comments, one of the individuals, Burning 47, says the statues honor men who died for their country. No, they were dying to divide. They were fighting to divide the country. They weren't fighting on behalf of America. The country they were fighting for doesn't exist.
But say, which men that they was honoring? Which men that died for the country that they was honoring? Or whatever the case may be like that. Because it seems to be that the only men that they were honoring was men that looked of one nature or whatnot like that. And we're not going to talk about what the other men who worked for them, who had died in their custody or whatever. We're not talking about them. We're going to just focus on the good part. It's like a fantasy land that people want to live in, or whatever the case should be like that. Like, I don't mind you want to say good things about a person, but when you tell me about that person, I need to know from A to Z about this person. Not from A to B or A to D, what's the rest of it that this person undid so I can know how I'm walking. But I think that people feel like when it comes down to what we people of our nature, what we suffer, I even suffer that racism even as a grown man right now in this country or whatever the case is. But when we talked about that, I think it makes people makes them feel bad. And they don't want to feel that. Or if they want to pretend like, that's why people always say, well, what can't you do in this country that, a white man or a white woman can do or whatever. Now, I do believe, because I don't believe that ain't nothing I can do. You know what I'm saying? Well, ain't nobody going to stop me for what I can do. But at the same time, what I'm going to have to go through in order to get there that's the problem.
Sometimes I don't believe it.
Yeah, but it's circumstantial. Or it depends on the area that you was in. I think I heard you say something about if a kid went to a good school. But at the same time, it depends on if you financially able to put one of your.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. Carmelo Anthony, since he's been coming up. with the exception of the trouble he got himself in. He was raised up compared to most African Americans in a privileged background. He didn't grow up in the hood or go to a school that didn't have proper materials. He went to a decent school, got a decent grade point average. Carmelo Anthony was on his way to being a successful African American.
Yeah, but sir, sometimes people of color that grows up in those, like you said, those decent schools and stuff like that, it be people that don't look like Carmelo, feel like Carmelo shouldn't even be there. If you go back and research Trump and how he was growing up in the schools he was, that boy mistreated a lot of people. Or whatever the case. So a lot of the time
that happens. I mean, you can go to an all-black school in the hood and still get bullied. People that treat you like you uppity and shouldn't be there. That could happen anywhere.
That's true. Yeah, that is true or whatnot like that. But that would be more common if you in an area where people don't think you should be in. Like for an example, I think I told this story, but I'll say it again to give you a better example of what we was talking about. I was an adult in Doral, where Trump loved to talk about where the golf course at. I was in Doral walking to work. There was a whole bunch of people on that block. The problem was it was only one person that looked like me, which. And as I'm walking up that street, them two detectives in that blue Lumina passed up everybody that was on that block and cut me out. And the first question they asked me was, "What you doing around here?" Or if case should be like that. So I'm saying is there are certain instances that people that look like me can be in or whatnot like that, and we'll get the treatment that we wouldn't necessarily get if we was around people that look like us.
I agree.
I can only speak from my personal.
Yeah, I agree. If you're in an all-white neighborhood or uppity, you're in an upper middle class neighborhood as a black person, the cops are not your friend. I'm not going to pretend like that's not the case. But the point I want to make to you, hold on. The point I want to hang on a second. Hold on a second. The point I want to make to you is that can happen. Even in an all-black, if you're in an all-black neighborhood and you go to school and you start succeeding, you may find that other black people in your neighborhood ain't even treating you right.
Which is true. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it won't happen in my neighborhood or whatever the case may be like that. But what I'm saying is it's a difference when you in a neighborhood where you look different and people feel like you're not common to be around you. That's why I gave that instance about what the Pope do. The first thing they asked me, this was broad daylight. I wasn't even walking on the side of the houses. I was walking on the side where the was at, or whatever case may be like that. And the first question I'm asked is what you doing around here? Yeah. Because when you in certain instance, we made to feel like you don't belong, or whatever case may be like that. That's why I made sure I said that it was many people on that block walking and jogging, but one looked like me. Why the heck they passed all those other people up? But I was the one they needed to pull over that. And then after they did what they did to me, they drove off from the block and left the area. What about the other people?
I've had that happen a few times. Yeah. I mean, as bad as that is, at the end of the day, it does not alter your life, though. I mean, it's terrible. The cops are probably racist, but that ain't a hurdle to you succeeding, though.
Okay, so let's go with that part. You said it's not a hurdle to succeeding. I can agree with that. It's an instance that we went to. But at the same time, sir, like when you said what you said, let's go back to what we talk about in this country, mental illness. You don't think something like that can cause mental illness for somebody who doesn't experience that? So it's not necessarily.
You really think a cop asking you what are you doing around here could lead to mental illness?
No, sir, I don't think a cop asking me that could lead me to mental illness. But what I think is when I was a child and coming out of a store and the cop kicked me so hard and ripped my skin off, and then that happened to me.
That's different.
Right there can lead to my mental illness because of what I done experienced before. And then I'm trying to do the right thing by going to work and I'm experiencing it again. I ain't even doing nothing wrong.
It could be. I get your point. I get your point. It could be triggering. I don't deny that. Look, if you're African American and you strayed into all white neighborhoods, I think just about every African American in this country either has been, mistreated in levels like that by police, or they know somebody that has. And you're gonna have a lot of whites that counter and say, well, we know people too. Which I always say, if that's the case, then quit chastising the blacks and admit we got a problem with the cops. If everybody got stories, the cops are a problem.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I got family members that's part of law enforcement, and I worry for them because at the same time, it's so many people like myself, a child and as a grown man, being mistreated by the cops. I worry for somebody that them to pull somebody over, and that person had an experience or whatnot like that in the first.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second. I got to do something on my door. Give me 1 second. Somebody's
and MAGA reacts like when you talking about something, what you said, bro, you need to come up here, bro, because when you say you came here, you said 2002 or something like that, you came here, bro, I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, bro. I'm 44 years old, dog. You can't tell me nothing about what Miami is, bro. Or if the case should be like that. Like, what are you talking about? When I was talking about what I was talking about, bro, this back in the time when they tried to revamp overtime. Or if the case should be like that. Trying to make overtime, like white areas or whatever case. Whatever, bro. 1990, bro. I've been born here since 1983, 82. Or if the case should be like that. You can't tell me about what it is. Only thing you can tell me about is what you see. It's just like when you said, oh, I ride around in Miami. Ain't no crime in Miami. Bro, what the hell neighborhood you be in, bro? Or if the case should be like that. Because I can call my peoples and tell you what time it is, bro. Or if the case should be like that. My peoples will tell you what time it is. Going down in there right now. Maybe that's the areas that you ride in because you don't look like me. Or if the case should be like that, it's the areas you live in. Or not like that. Come on, man. I ain't trying to stun on you, bro. But, bro, at the same time, bro, like, don't be coming like that, bro. Like, don't be, come on, bro, because that's foul, bro. That's foul, dog. Or if the case should be like that. Yeah, when you talking about Midtown over there on 36th Street when they built that whole plaza over there? I remember when they built that whole plaza over there, bro. I remember when they were trying to take everybody out of overtime. Because when that Midtown was built, bro, overcase should be like that. They were trying to move everybody, all the black folks out of overtime. Overcase should be like that. And trying to replace it. Instead of building up the neighborhood. But you can't tell me where I come from, bro. Because I ran in these areas. Overcase should be like that. I wasn't no house dude, bro. I'm 44 years old. I jumped out the porch at 14, bro. Well, can't sleep like that. What you talking about, bro? Come on, man. Bro, ain't no way in hell you talking about something. You used to ride everywhere, including overtime, bro. And you talking about something ain't no crime going on, bro.
You running the show?
Hey, man, you lying, bro.
You running the show? You running the show?
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. You know what? Yeah, hey, don't worry about it. I'm going to keep the shop open, man, till you get back.
I see that. I see that. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and move on. But like I said, at the end of the day, I agree that there are hurdles. I just don't think it's as bad as some folks make it sound like blacks can't do shit. And I think that it gets to a point, if you say it too strong, it almost sounds like a cop-out.
Yeah, I said this last time, but me personally, I think we the strongest race. You know what I'm saying? I think that we all come together, because we can endure or whatnot like that. Like, we can stand in that pain. I always believe in my people or whatnot like that. I just, we all just got to believe in one another. Yeah, it's hard, though, or whatnot like that, but we all come from struggles, man. So long as we all come together, it could be a better. But thank you, sir, for bringing me up.
Well said. Appreciate it. Real talk it is indeed. Looking in the comments, I like him. Tim says, Ray. Yes, definitely. We got the best guests on this show, even the ones that lean right and left. We got some good guests on this show. We try to expand it. I would like to get more MAGA if we could, but it ain't as easy to do that. Listen, at the end of the day, Trump is the current president, and things are not going well under Trump. So he gets a lot of criticism, and the quickest way to lose MAGA is to criticize President Trump. When Biden was president, I was criticizing a lot of things about Biden, the gas prices, the economy, and I had my audience was more MAGA than it was liberals at the time. The liberals didn't like me. I've found that there's like two or three groups of people that is hard to keep. One, MAGA, because they don't favor Trump being criticized. Even if Trump is doing something wrong, they just don't want to hear negative shit about Trump. Two, African Americans. It can be challenging keeping some of them as well, because if you're not blaming the white man for every fucking thing, there's a lot of African Americans don't like you. I mean, there are things to blame the white man for, but there's also things to blame black people for. And if you're not buying into the notion that white people are responsible for every problem blacks are having, you're going to lose some black audience. I got some black people that just will not listen to me. Like you just, you're an Uncle Tom or you're a sellout. They just don't want to hear it. Anything that happens to an African American, there's got to be a way to blame white people for it. I'm not quite there yet. So I do lose some of them as well. And sometimes I lose some Democrats too, because I do give Trump credit when I think he's done something worthy of giving him credit for. And there's some Democrats do not like hearing Trump receiving credit. Travelman, appreciate the hat and mustache. What did Obama do for you? Did the black community get better under Obama? The economy was really good under Obama, Leon Hudson. Not to mention Obama appointed and put a lot of black people in positions of power, federal judges and everything. So Obama did quite a bit, whether or not you want to give him credit for it. And if there's one thing he didn't do, he didn't go around saying all kinds of negative shit about African Americans. He didn't accuse them of eating cats and dogs and all kinds of crazy shit, saying their towns are shitholes and all of that. So, I mean, he didn't say stuff that just was designed to piss off African Americans, putting African American leaders on the internet as monkeys and shit. He didn't do all of that kind of stuff. So go figure. Obama allowed most black babies to be aborted compared to Trump, just saying. That ain't a flex. If Trump is not in favor of giving that black baby health care, giving that black baby daycare assistance, giving that black baby any lunches in schools, like Charlie Kirk said, no free lunches. Okay, well, I made sure she couldn't abort you. Now get the fuck out of my face. That ain't a flex. I mean, there's a lot of things that Trump, you don't get credit for being pro-life about the kid after it's born. I don't see where Trump is doing anything in. Why do taxpayers have to pay for you fucking? Because you're forcing them to carry a baby. Because you're getting inside of their fucking uterus and telling them what to do. If you're going to have to do with their body, then you should be on the hook for some of the cost of that shit. That's why. Leave them the fuck alone. If you ain't going to help, if the taxpayers ain't going to do shit, then the taxpayers shouldn't say shit. Get out of her life. Get out of their lives. The mom and the dad, if they come to that agreement. If you ain't going to help, then back the fuck off. I'll give you a phrase you probably heard before. Stand back and stand by. Leave them alone. More black children are being born under Donald J. Trump than healthcare. And those black children are going to be born, and then you're going to soon be complaining about moms on welfare. That's what's going to happen. You're going to start having more children born, and the mom, because you're forcing women to carry babies to term. Some of them are financially destitute. They would have a lot of women, when they terminate children, a lot of times it's due to financial reasons. So you're going to force her to have the baby, which she's telling you ahead of time she could not afford it. And your response is going to be, well, you should have kept your legs closed. You ain't doing shit for her. That ain't doing shit. And then if she puts the kid in foster care, now that kid goes to the foster care system, where a lot of kids come out of that system fucked up. You ain't doing nothing for nobody by this shit. I don't see where you're getting any credit for doing anything special. I don't hate black people, but you're not going to blame me for the sins of others. What if they ain't religious? Sins is a sin difference depending on your religion. Why does what you refer to as a sin allow you to take control of what they can and can't do? Maybe what they're doing is not a sin to them. And it definitely ain't none of your business. Why don't you treat it like any other sin? Get on your knees and pray to God for forgiveness and leave them the fuck alone. White people destroyed Black Wall Street. True. I ain't going for that. I don't take shorts from no one. I ain't going for that. Shout out to Hall & Oates. Donald Trump is a pedo protector and rapist protector. I don't know if that, well, I mean, the Epstein files, I guess there is some validity there. How many kids do you know in the foster care system, and how many families do you know they are being handed? The foster care system is terrible. I know somebody who used to keep foster care children just for the government stipend every month. Foster care system is terrible. It is terrible in this country. In fact, many kids in the foster care system go from one foster care family to the next. It ain't like Mr. Drummond in Different Strokes or Webster. It ain't like that. You get in the foster care system and all of a sudden a wealthy family pick you up. That ain't how it normally works. A lot of these kids go from family to family until they're old enough to be emancipated out of the system. In many cases, they never really develop any bond with any of those families of any significance. In some cases, some of them end up getting violated by the families that are keeping them. The foster care system is not good. That is not good. I'm listening. I guess it's one step above being aborted, but it ain't great. That is not some great promotion where you would brag about. We say, what the fuck, Tim? Call the law and turn them in. This was years ago. I don't have any contact with them people anymore. But yeah, they used to keep foster care children. I mean, and they weren't doing a bad job though. I mean, they would let, have a couple girls come stay at their house. 6 months, a year or two. They get a monthly check for keeping them there. They weren't abusing the kids, but they would let the girls run the street. Some kids in foster care end up pregnant and shit because they're not getting very good parental guidance. I mean, it's not a good system. That's all I'm going to tell you. The foster care system is not a good system. It's not. So if you start forcing women to have babies that they don't want, and the argument is, well, you can put it up for foster care or put it up for adoption. That ain't, you could fuck up some kids' lives doing that. There are plenty of kids who tell you that was not a great time in their lives and are permanently scarred by that. Not to mention some of them end up in prison because the guidance in that system is so poor. Love your neighbor as yourself. That would end racism overnight. It would end a lot of stuff overnight, but that's not America, unfortunately. My issue was mothers get all the help from the government while I have my 2 children that I have to take care of, paying everything out of pocket. LOL, you say there's no help. No, mothers do not get all the help from the government. You realize there are states out there that put a short limit on how much help a mom can get. There are states that say you can only get welfare for like 3 or 4 years. I mean, no, mothers do not get all the help from the government. You make it sound like a mom is driving around in an Escalade, living in a penthouse. They don't get all, no, they don't. What are you talking about? They got a law out now talking about SNAP recipients can't even buy potato chips and sodas with the EBT cards. This is not a great life to live on. The taxpayers do not want to help moms with dependent children. And every year they're coming up with ways to try to make it harder and harder to get help. They're not trying to do that. You damn near got to force them to do that. The country does not want to help out welfare recipients, which is why I keep saying it makes no sense to be passing pro-life laws in the middle of this shit. Limiting how long a mom can get welfare, passing laws that the work requirement laws are so challenging that a lot of folks ain't gonna even qualify anymore. If the woman is saying, I don't have enough money for this child, and you're going to force her to carry it anyway in that system, you could be creating a fucked up life for the kid. That's all I'm saying. The country does help out welfare recipients. They just don't want to do it for the next 80 years person. They don't want to do it at all, Mike. They don't want to do it at all. They got nothing to do for the next 80 years. They don't want to do it at all. Welfare isn't supposed to be a gravy train. No, it's not. But if a person knows they are not responsible enough to get a job and shit, and they're telling you, I don't make a good mother, and you making it clear, well, I don't want to take care of you, they don't force them to bring a child in the world. I just think it's a recipe for disaster. They don't force them to do it. The country didn't spread her legs. I'm going to tell you the same thing you guys often told the anti-gun crowd. You can't legislate responsibility. You're not going to punish women that are promiscuous by forcing them to have kids. You're just going to end up creating a generation of a whole bunch of fucked up kids. There's going to come a time when folks who think just like you are in the future regretting your decision, because your decision is going to create probably more convicts, more people on welfare. I mean, because you're creating people that are not wanted. The mom is telling you ahead of time, I don't want to carry this child to term. And what do you think? If you force her, she's going to turn into mother of the year? Your thinking is going, like I said, it's going to lead to future generations saying that was a bad idea. It'll happen. You may live to see it even. You may actually even live to see it. Put some of that black women abortion attention into convincing Karen and Becky to pick up their weight on increasing the white population. And I can tell you right off the bat, this whole notion that what Trump is doing or what the right is doing with anti-abortion stuff is saving black babies, I can guarantee you the right has no interest in creating more black kids. That is not what this is about. This sounds just like we're going into Venezuela to stop fentanyl, or we're going into Iran to save protesters. The right has no desire to create more black babies. So all this bullshit about you saving black babies, you can get the fuck out of here with that. That is not what you're trying to do. I mean, but it sounds funny. I mean, just like the fentanyl and saving Iranian protesters. That's what you were trying to do on that too. Okay. Anyway, as always, folks, I do appreciate the 112th thou, but you know what time it is now. I got to step away. Cutting those poor whites off welfare. We are protecting the life of the child, not the mother, my man. If you're not doing shit for the kid after the kid is born, you're not protecting the life of the child. You don't give a fuck about the kid. You only care about the child when it's in the womb. Once she passes it and the umbilical cord is cut, your response is don't ask me for shit from now on. You don't give a fuck about the kid. What are you talking about? You ain't contributing to daycare and none of that stuff. You don't give a fuck about the kid. That's what you're telling yourself on a commercial with a draft dodger. So you don't think a father should have any say on the abortion of his child? Yes, yeah, I do. But if the mom and the dad are agreeing to it, I absolutely don't think a stranger should have any say so in it. But here's the problem. There's no way to do all this pro-life shit without locking people up. Because for a mom to carry a baby to term, there's a lot required from that mother. If the mom says, okay, well, since you're pro-life, my baby's 2 months along, since you won't let me terminate it, make an appointment. I'm about to go to the hospital. Take it out of me. Take the 2-month-old out of me. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to terminate it. Take it out of me. You can't do that because you need her for the next several months. You cannot do that. So the problem is you need her participation to meet your desire. And what will end up happening is if a mom wants to terminate a child, she finds alternative ways to do it. Now you're threatening to throw her in jail. That's why I don't believe in any of this shit what's going to lead to more incarceration. I mean, let's say, for instance, a mom has she decides she want to go to an amusement park. Her boyfriend invited her there. And she's been dying to go to Disney World or something. Finds out she's 6 months pregnant or 6 weeks pregnant or something. And at 6 weeks, she doesn't want the child. She's not ready to have when she wants to get rid of it. You say, no, fuck that. I'm going to Disney World. Whoa, alter ego. Damn. Shout out to you. Thank you. So she decides I'm going to Disney World anyway. Her actions lead to her having a miscarriage. The right is going to want to hold her accountable for that. They're going to want to punish her for that. What you're going to start having is women who have miscarriages. The right are going to be saying, let's make sure her actions didn't cause the death of her unborn. And if they think it did, now this woman is being charged with a crime. To me, it would make it so that if I'm pregnant, I'm going to avoid telling any medical professional that is pro-life and involved in that shit. I'm not even going to tell you because not my business. And if something don't go right, now you're threatening to charge me with crimes and shit. So I would absolutely just, if I'm a woman, you know, look, if you end up pregnant, if you think you pregnant, go to a liberal state, take the test, go to, don't even do anything about this in a conservative area. Because now they talking about tracking you to find out what happened and all that shit. And you can fuck around and end up in the justice system. So I wouldn't even pass the information on. If the woman has an abortion, the woman should be in jail until she gets the death penalty. Damn. Let me read that again. Damn. This is what I'm talking about, folks. This came from Uber Eats. You delivering people's food talking this shit? Uber Eats says if the woman has an abortion, the woman should be in jail until she gets the death penalty. Damn. Damn, that's all I can say. I don't have any other answer for that. You're just fear-mongering, Tim. You're going to tell me I'm fear-mongering after I just read that fucking comment to you? You're just fear-mongering, Tim, make a legitimate argument for killing babies. You just heard that person. Now I'm fear-mongering, huh? Person talking about murdering moms. You think that person's the only person that agree with that too, by the way? That's one of the most extreme views I've ever heard. It is extreme, cowboy, but it ain't the first time I've heard it. I mean, in fact, there are actual politicians. We've played this on the show right after they overturned Roe v. Wade and was talking about this. There are actual politicians who were trying to pass laws that want to put a mom in jail for murder if she terminates the life of the unborn, and it's in states where they have the death penalty. So I used to play that clip on here. That is what he is saying. There are politicians that have actually tried to pass that. So that ain't not outside of the realm of reality. So I'm just trying to see if I can find that news clip. But I think it was out in South Carolina or North Carolina somewhere. But they were trying to. You had an actual politician trying to pass a law to do exactly that. So it sounds crazy what he's saying, or it sounds extreme, but I assure you, when it comes to the right, it's not. It's not. It's people out there that do talk like that. I'll see if I can hear this.
Yeah, the metal abortion pills as well.
And they have people that are going outside of the to find doctors that are willing to give them an abortion.
And now some lawmakers want to take another step that could severely punish women who have abortions. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. You just heard from Representative Jody Baird, who is deeply opposed to abortion. He feels like since Tennessee passed a ban on terminating pregnancies, too many people have gotten away with it using other methods.
So he's filed a new bill to deter it, an amendment. And as Chris Davis discovered, it could even include the death penalty.
They are focused on the wrong things, and we are focused on the right things.
It doesn't happen very often, but
I'm not even going to go into the women's opinion, but there you go. So there's the name of the politician. So yeah, there are politicians that really want to do that. So his opinion is extreme, but it's based on reality. There are members of the right that would like to kill a mom that does that. So and I don't think that this state is the only state that's done that, that's tried to do that. So anyway, I got to step away. Appreciate you folks tuning in as usual. If you favor sides of the owl, feel free to follow us if you're watching us on Instagram, TikTok, Substack, or Clapper. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, your boy a sub. We're here most weekdays. Do you know the names of these politicians that want to do? I just played it. He just mentioned the guy's name. So I just played the clip for you. It ain't hard to, by the way, this ain't hard to Google because I'm sure it's more than just this one politician that has tried to pass a bill in this particular state. This is Tennessee. They tried to pass a bill that would make women eligible for the death penalty. I think the video I used to play was out of North or South Carolina. So it's happened in more than one state. So there you go. And in the comments, who's that say? Leon Hudson said, I don't believe it. This is the actual fucking news channel. This is Channel 5. I mean, like, what does it take to get you to believe it? This is an actual news broadcast. This is from 4 months ago. I'm trying to see what the letter, the call, what do you call it? The call letters of the station. I'm not even going to, look, if you don't believe it, you don't believe it, but it's pretty easy to research it. There are plenty of politicians that want women to be at risk of losing their lives for having an abortion. It's not
their new state bill is equating abortion to murder. WSMV investigative reporter Stacey Cameron reports 2 Republican lawmakers want prosecutors to seek the death penalty against anyone getting an abortion here in Tennessee.
Also, anyone helping an expectant mother get an abortion, like a doctor or a husband who forces her to do it, could face the same penalty. And while the bill would not allow prosecutors to go back and prosecute past abortions, criminalizing that procedure to this degree is sparking a wildfire of controversy. Representative Jody Baird, a Dixon Republican, is spearheading the bill.
Jody Baird, there you go. There's your name, Representative Jody Baird out of Tennessee. So there you go. You can believe it or not. I'm sure there's a ton of shit you can research and find on this, probably including videos of her saying it. So there you go. It's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. I got to go. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Subscribe, follow. See you then. Take care.